From Boca Raton, Florida, Rabbis Efrem Goldberg, Philip Moskowitz, and Josh Broide are taking you behind the Bima. The BRS Rabbis shmooze about contemporary issues and talk to special guests who give a behind-the-scenes look at how they got to where they are and what keeps them going. Welcome to Behind the Bima.
Wow. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday night, 9 p.m. That means it's time to go where?
Behind the Bima. With the Rebbetzins.
Mr. Q there. Always. Rabbi Broide, you're always right on cue, right on time. We are very, very excited for a very special edition of Behind the Bima with our dear friends. We are welcoming tonight onto the program our Rebbetzins, our wives, and we're going to be welcoming other Rabbis and Rebbetzins of the Boca Raton Synagogue, part of our local BRS community and our Brs Global community. We are super excited. The truth is that tonight, almost is just a continuation from last week because we set a record behind the Bima last week. It was a behind the Bima marathon telethon. Not going to sell anyone out. It's possible someone was texting, they needed a bathroom and begged to end the episode. Otherwise, we would have gone straight from last Wednesday night all the way into this Wednesday night. But anyway, it's great to be back together again. Another week, so much going on in the world, so much going on in our world. We have the greatest guests we've ever had tonight. So excited to be able to welcome them and excited to be together with you, our dear friends, and hoping that you will submit questions and comments, what you want to hear from our wives, our Rebbetzins, what you want to hear from the other rabbis. We have so much to talk about. But first, we have to acknowledge and thank our sponsors yet again, second week in a row, dailygiving.org. Dailygiving.org is an amazing organization. It enables Jews to give tzedakah easily from anywhere. All you need to do is go on the website, get the app. You can simply give $1 a day, and that will add up and translate. Dailygiving.org gave out well over $1 million last year to all legitimate, excellent, well-deserving charities. Soon it will include the Boca Raton Synagogue. Not yet, but it will. So while you're listening to us, if you're listening on an iPad, if you're listening on a computer, if you're watching, some people, turn it on their TV in their den or family room or even bedroom. People tell me they broadcast behind the Bima on their TVs. I have no idea how to do that. But if you're on some other device, take out your phone, go on dailygiving.org and sign up, take advantage. So huge thank you to Dr. Donath, our good friend, and dailygiving.org, an outstanding organization. And thank you for that sponsorship. Gentlemen, what's going on?
My kids wanted to know, was I more nervous tonight or for the mom's night? Or was I more nervous bringing the Rebbetzins on, or was I more nervous for Mother's Day when we had the moms on? That's what my kids want to know in our house tonight. And
what's the answer to that question?
I'm not nervous at all. I think it's great. It's going to be good fun. I can't wait to introduce the rest of our staff. Everyone gets to see us kibitz each week and have a good time together. And it'll be exciting to invite the rest of the team on to that experience, right, and let the world see the dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. People have said to us, where are the other rabbis? Why haven't they made an appearance behind the Bima? But the truth is, they are so big, and our Rebbetzins, they're such a big name, such great guests, that we had to build up. We had to have judges and owners of NFL teams. We had to have, mega media stars and leading politicians and candidates for Prime Minister of Israel. And only once we had that foundation were we ready to be able to bring that. It might even be too soon now. It might be too soon now. But it's not that we've been waiting. It's that we need to build up you, the audience, to be able to bring them on.
Well,
Broide,
I'll just say, you asked Rabbi Moskowitz, was he more nervous to bring on his wife or his mom? I'm going to ask it a little differently. Who's more nervous, my mom or my wife? Let's just say one of them is staring at me right now, right over there.
Yeah. And here's the real question, because the questions are coming in the comments already, fast and furious, and keep them coming. We're really excited. So our dear friend Rabbi Pesach Somer, a former resident of Boca Raton Synagogue, wants to know if our wives are ever horrified by what we share on Behind the Bima. So what I want to know is, are we allowed to, after tonight's episode, give all of our feedback to them about what they said, didn't say, should have said, what words they repeated or always use, or how much time they gave Rabbi Broide or anything like that?
That would not be wise. I could tell you that much. That would not be a wise thing to do afterwards.
That would not be the wise thing to do. All right, gentlemen, are we ready to invite the Rebbetzins on?
I think we're ready.
I think we're ready. All right, without any further ado, what a pleasure, what a privilege.
Come on down.
Come on. Pull up a
Look
chair.
who's here. Here, you got to pull it over a little closer.
This is super exciting. Come on, screen.
Whoa, here we go.
I got some room. Hold on. Let me lower my seat there. So it is a pleasure for me to welcome my wife, my Rebbetzin, Yocheved. Thank you so much for being here. And Yocheved, what an honor and a privilege to have you. Rebbetzin Moskowitz, Rebbetzin Ariel Moskowitz, and Rebbetzin Simone Broide. What a special honor and privilege. Hold on, the Brody's not going to be able to listen together simultaneously.
She's like, I'm not putting the headphones on. I said you're not going to be able to hear them otherwise.
Not sure how we're going to do this, but Rebbetzins, it is great to have you. And even before we begin and launch into the conversation with the Rebbetzins, I want to make a very big announcement on Behind the Bima. The truth is, this is an announcement that our own community hasn't even heard yet, but this is the place to be able to hear it. This just in, breaking news, Rabbi Moskowitz.
We need a collective eye roll.
The
From all the
collective.
Rebbetzins, the eye roll. The breaking news graphic.
Wow. All right. They're already going at us. It's okay.
Get them on. That didn't take very long at all. Okay, first of all, move your chair in so they see you, and you got to be near the microphone. But Rabbi Moskowitz, are we able to make this big announcement tonight here on Behind the Bima?
Yeah, I'm not sure I shared it with my family yet, but hey, what better way to share it than Behind the Bima, considering it was announced at a board meeting this week. But there's exciting news coming out of the Moskowitz house, coming out of Boca Raton Synagogue. The Moskowitzes, you guys
Hold on. This is almost as big when LeBron had the decision and the world tuned in to find out where he was going next. The Moskowitzes had their decision. And tonight on Behind the Bima, they have an announcement to make.
You heard it right here. The Boca Raton Synagogue is stuck with the Moskowitzes for a little bit longer. That is the big news tonight.
Yay!
Are we allowed to say? We're not allowed to say. But we thank God we have a significant extension. The Moskowitzes are going to be with us. We couldn't imagine life without them. And it's so great to have you. And the Brodies have like a lifetime contract. So they're here and they're not going anywhere. We love the Brodies. We love the Moskowitzes. And it's a team. The community couldn't be what it is and wouldn't happen without the whole team. So let's get into it with the Rebbetzins. And who should we start with, or how should we start? Yocheved, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about you, your background, and the big question everybody wants to know is, did you always know you were going to marry a rabbi? When you were dating, did you look for a rabbi? Did you know you were going to be a Rebbetzin? It's not like a career path or a choice you make to be a Rebbetzin. So how'd you end up here? And why are you so...
Because my chair is slow.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's
your mic.
That's all good. So, hi, I'm Yocheved Goldberg. Maiden name was Brookstein. I'm from Lawrence, New York. And I actually did want to be a Rebbetzin. I kind of went into this knowing full well. I dated guys who were going for smicha and who wanted to be some form of a rabbi. And I was involved in kiruv and in different organizations in high school and college, and really enjoyed doing all of those organizations and working with different populations. And, I loved kiruv and just, working with people and helping. And so it was something that I really loved. I loved community work, and social worker was something that I also loved, to be with people and to advise and to counsel. And so this was something that I really wanted in my life, to host and to have an open home and a lot going on. And so I ended up with this guy.
Okay. So far, so good. And Yocheved, Rebbetzin Goldberg, the BRS Weekly recently had a feature, an interview with you, and talked about things that people didn't know about you. But tell our audience, anything about you that people might not expect from a Rebbetzin? What might people not know about you?
I think it's old news by now. I don't think it's...
Okay, but you can share it nonetheless.
So I think what he is referring to is the fact that I play the drums. So I happen to love music, which I think has come up on this show. I love music. I love musical instruments and, music without words, music. I love all kinds of music. I really enjoy it.
A lefty drummer.
I play piano and I play drums, and I just... that's it. Not so.
Okay, great. Let's
We should
move
have had
right
a drum.
along.
We should have had a drum competition between Rabbi Broide and Rebbetzin
Rabbi
Goldberg
Brody's
tonight. That would
much
have been
better than I am. There's no competition.
Two different styles.
Yeah.
Different styles for sure. All right, moving right along. Rabbi Moskowitz, would you like to introduce everyone to your Rebbetzin?
Well, I'm going to let her introduce herself. This is my wife, Maisha Chayil, Rebbetzin, nurse practitioner, Ariel Moskowitz. Rabbis and Moskowitz, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what made you want to become a Rebbetzin, and how perhaps even you intertwine your work as a Rebbetzin and your work as a nurse practitioner.
Sure. And I'll say it's a bigger deal than keeping Rabbi Moskowitz in Boca. It's keeping Rebbetzin Moskowitz in Boca for a little while longer.
That's true. Thank you. We're very happy to finally be invited onto Behind the Bima. We're happy to be here. A little bit about myself. I grew up in Brooklyn. A little known fact about me. Moved to Long Island, to Yochevet's neck of the woods, Lawrence, later on in life. And we got married about 14 years ago. Started off in New York and then found our way somehow down here. And we are, thank God, very happy here. We're having our 11th year here. And we have 4 children, thank God. And aside from my role here in our Shul, which I absolutely love, being involved in our community, part of this great team at BRS, I do also work, I always say my other hat, as a nurse practitioner in one of the local internal medicine offices here, and I love doing that. How do I combine it? Well, I do see many patients, many local patients. I feel that I work in my office as well as in the community in the Shul really do combine what I love to do, is connect people and help people. Being an Orthodox healthcare provider, I feel, I can help people and really understand, especially people in the Orthodox community, where they're coming from. And I really enjoy my work here. So
amazing. Rabbi Moskowitz, is there a follow-up question?
Well, I don't know if I was allowed to, if we're going to Simone. And then once we ask all the first ones, then we're going to come back. So why don't we go to Simone, because I know she's waiting there anxiously to introduce herself to the world. I know all day she's been counting down the minutes, and then we'll come back.
I want to know how much time she spent with each of you on the phone or texting today, getting ready for this interview.
Simone is prepared. Simone is
Hi,
prepared
everybody.
for tonight.
This is not used to this. Hi, everybody. So I'm Simone. I'm from Washington Heights, New York, and I met my husband actually in 7th grade. That's like a cute tidbit about us. And we moved here actually 21 years ago. And we'll be married actually 24 years next Tuesday. And we have 6 children. And I write currently, besides being the BRS, outreach Rebbetzin, I also work with Yachad, which is I help families with children with disabilities. That's about it.
Amazing. Talk a little bit about the chesed you've been promoting and advertising and coordinating for the community during Corona, enabling the community, obviously within the limitations of the pandemic, but to have the opportunity to be involved. The Broides, when in non-Corona times, the house is always open. There's activities. There's trips to Israel. It's incredible the amount that's going on. Grand Central Station is the Broides' home. During Corona, it's obviously much more limited, but you've brought that same energy to coordinating chesed for the community. So any of the chesed projects, programs you want to highlight?
So basically, like you said, we used to entertain all the time, and we had programs and projects and workshops here. And when Corona hit, it got so quiet. And then we needed a way to connect with all of our people. So we initially started by a challah program. We started making multiple challahs each week and delivering challahs to our Friday Live service, Friday Live Outreach family, and to our Momentum group families, and to our Yachad families. And then we needed to do more. So we actually had a cereal box drive initially, and to benefit the families of Tomchei Shabbos in our community. And when I had such an overwhelming response, it showed me that there's clearly a need. There was a need. People wanted to do good. And I feel like the more good you do, you feel good. And anyway, so we started doing these drives, and it was a great way during Corona to get a lot of people involved. So we did things like blanket drives, pajama drives, toy drives, sock drives, you name it. And I guess one of the things I'm most proud of is that we started feeding the hungry in our community. And we did for about 6-7 months. We coordinated every single day. Different families from our shul and schools would make sandwiches and encouraging notes to go along with the sandwiches and deliver to people who were in need. And currently, actually this month, being that February is Jewish Disabilities Awareness Month. So currently we are running a drive for board games and for art supplies for families with kids with special needs. And I guess I should say another part of what was nice about these drives was that it was a way to get other organizations known. Like there's so many wonderful organizations in our community, and I think a lot of us didn't know about them. So each month I researched and I found out a lot of new places, and it's a way to promote the different organizations, and then together, promote organizations and get more people involved. And it's just been a great response.
You're doing amazing things, and you're enabling and coordinating for other people to do amazing things. Now, Simone, just to clarify,
Can I say a fun fact?
Of course you can.
A fun fact is that Simone and I were field day co-captains at Camp Hask.
That's right.
Fun
Yes.
fact.
Yes.
And we
Did
won.
you get the bowling pin for that?
The bowling pin
Fun
was for
fact
color
number.
war. There, I was co-captain with Rabbi Gibber.
Whoa.
That was
Okay.
color war the
Wow.
following
But with
I'm
summer.
not
me,
sure
it
we're
was
ready
more
for that.
fun.
I'm not sure we're ready for that
That
yet.
was
It's a
really
breaking
fun,
news, by
and
the
that's
That is a breaking news, and maybe we should send him right now, bring him on the air, and reunite the co-captains. But we'll do that in a
we
future
actually
episode.
we were on different. Rabbi Gibber and I were different teams, so we competed against each other. Simone and I were on the same team.
I got you.
And we won.
A good
We won,
clarification.
Yochai. You just said
That's
we
right.
won.
We did win. Yeah.
Beat Rabbi
BRS
Gibber.
are winners. BRS are winners. Now, Simone,
right.
you're wearing the headphones. Does that mean that your husband can't hear us right now?
Exactly.
I think
He
it's
can
reading
hear,
your
okay.
lips. Okay.
He can hear. So before we open the next round of
Reading your
questions to
lips.
our Rebbetzins, and there's so much that people want to know from the Rebbetzins, before we open to the next round of questions, I want to remind everyone that right now we have the Brs Global Campaign still going. We're in our second week, and we are at nearly 80% of our goal. We're at $78,039. We had set a goal of $100,000 to support all the efforts and everything that we're doing in the BRS community. We have our local community first and foremost, but we have the global. Am I boring you? What's going on over here? But we have the global community that are the people who benefit and learn and listen and read beyond. So listen carefully if you're watching. Only those watching live. One of our rabbis, who's going to be coming on momentarily, Rabbi Dr. David Shabtai, has just published a brand new sefer called Hiding in Plain Sight. It's fantastic. And how do I know that? I had an advanced copy that I got to review, and it is a fantastic book. And here's the deal. Go on brsonline.org/global. Anyone who donates $180 or more to the cause right now will get in the mail before Purim a free copy, signed and autographed by Rabbi Dr. David Shabtai. So go on
And if
right
you
now,
give the money-
brsonline.org/global. I didn't say which Purim you get it by the way. But you will get before Purim a copy of the book, autographed to whomever you like. Indicate in the sponsorship who you want it dedicated, who you want the autograph to. brsonline.org/global, brsonline.org/global. In fact, if you're watching on that global page, just hit donate in honor and memory. Indicate who you want Rabbi Shabtai to make it out to, and we will get you your copy, must reading, by this Purim. We can't wait to bring the Shabtais on. But before, let's go another round of questions.
If you donate $1,800 to my campaign so I can catch up to Rabbi Moskowitz right now, I will also include my autograph in the front cover before Rabbi Shabtai's.
Yes, let's just say right now, Rabbi Moskowitz is at 6,270, and Rabbi Broide's only at 4,344, still in the pity position. So if anybody wants to make a donation and be partner and invest in our community as part of the Broides, they certainly deserve it. Rebbetzins, we went through the niceties, your background, cute shtick, color war captains, yada, yada, yada. Now tell us what the people really want to know. What's the best part and the worst part of being a Rebbetzin? What do people not know is so amazing, so enriching that you love about your life in the role of a Rebbetzin of a large shul? And what are the parts of a Rebbetzin that if you wish you could change, you would change?
Do you want me to start?
It's up to your colleagues and friends.
Let Ariel start this time. Let her start.
Rebbetzin
Senior
It's all
Moskowitz,
yours.
take it away.
Senior Rebbetzin.
I'll start with the part that I like best. How about that? We'll leave the worst part for you, Yochai. That's hard to listen. I think we both touched on it, and it's actually the truth. We live in a growing community, thank God. And one of the things that pre-corona, there's so much going on here. Every Shabbos, every weekend is like a whole, chavaya, a whole experience. I love, for my kids, for my whole family, just be part of things, meet people, see people, learn, grow. It's just an excitement, and it's really contagious. I think it's great for our kids to grow up, watching that and seeing such a vibrant Jewish lifestyle. So I'm very thankful to be front and center with that. The worst part? Do I have to say that part?
Not the instead of phrasing it the worst part,
Challenging.
what the challenging or what you
Challenge.
would change if you could.
So I don't know that I would change anything. I think a challenge, and this was really, we had time to reflect over the last year on this. I think we never really, as a couple, never really realized how much time we spend out of the house on a regular average week. Because of our responsibilities, because of our commitments, and it's things we enjoy doing. So we never saw it as a burden, as an onus, but it was, we enjoy it. But when it was kind of really came to a screeching halt last year, we never realized just how many hours of the week we were outside of our home. So I think that would be my answer. Yeah.
So if you could find different balance, be home more. All right, Simone, you're exempt, by the way, because we didn't pose that as a question in advance. Although I will say your fan club's watching. If you look at the screen, I don't know, Chani Schwartz Herman. Let's go, Simone. You got a fan club, so
My boss.
Simone, go for it.
And my friend. No, I was just going to say the same thing. I was going to echo Ariel that I think that we did not spend as much time with our family until Corona, and so that was like a silver lining. And it's nice to be with each other. We did not see each other as much until now. We've been in the same country for the whole year. It's like a big deal. It's a big deal. So it's a big deal. And we always, like you said, we enjoyed being part of everyone's lives and always having a lot going on. But I think our kids needed a little bit more of our attention, and they got it. They definitely got it. We've been spending lots of bonding time, quality time together now. So that's been great. That's all.
Amazing. Is Rabbi Broide your most challenging kid to raise?
He's been very good this year. He's actually very good.
He's just as mature as he was back in 7th grade.
We're very proud. Yecheva, what would you say? Best part of being a Rebbetzin people may not know, and what do you wish you could change?
So I think the best part is the involvement that you have in people's lives. I think it's a very special thing that when it comes to someone's simchas, you're a big part of it. They're happy the Rebbetzin is there. They're celebrating with you. They're pulling you into dance. They're so grateful you came. It means so much to them. And that's really a beautiful thing that we could be there in such a meaningful way. And I think it's also I think one of my favorite parts of being a Rebbetzin is the fact that we could be there also when they're going through a difficult time. And when they're going through a crisis and we're there as their Rebbetzin, that kind of we scoop, go in there and really try to help and be there for them. It's something that I find to be a terrific opportunity to be able to help and be on the front line. And I think that's a very beautiful part of being part of the rabbinic family, part of the rabbinic team. And I definitely appreciate that about being a Rebbetzin. And what? Why do you keep looking at me? Okay.
I'm looking at you because I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be looking.
Okay.
Whenever we do these videos for dinners and stuff, you guys have this also? You're recording the video together for the
but
dinner
here you
honorees?
can watch on the screen.
And you don't know if you're supposed to look at the camera, you're supposed to look and smile. Okay.
no
And then the
bloopers
other one is
today.
what I don't
We
like.
should do
How you
bloopers
don't
tonight.
like what you wish were a little
What's
different.
So what's challenging about this position is that our husbands are really busy and they don't have 9-to-5 jobs, and we have no idea when they're going to walk in the door and what's going to come up and what's going to keep them away from the house. And I think that's a really hard thing for Rebbetzin. Again, there are a lot of professions like this, but I think many more professions have more set hours, have more of an idea of what the day is going to be like, and we're kind of always in this guessing game. What's today going to be? When's Abba coming home? So I think that's a little bit challenging. And I think for our particular community, we also have the challenge of having such a large community and having the time to find for everyone, because we really want to be close with everyone. We want to have a relationship and be there for everyone. And
Right.
and we're only very few people who are in these positions, so we can't possibly be there and have that closeness with everyone. Whereas in small communities, you have those rabbis and rebbetzins who are able to really, have people over numerous times at their home, or, spend time. And I think that's hard. I feel bad about that. I wish we had the ability to be with everyone more, but
That is a challenge for sure, but our community is extremely lucky to have outstanding Rebbetzins, those right now with us, those who will be joining us tonight, who are so devoted. And, we don't have time to unpack this tonight. Maybe we'll do a future episode. Rebbetzins aren't paid. The Moskowitz has announced a contract extension. We are beyond excited, but it's going to be signed by Rabbi Moskowitz, just with some assumptions about Rebbetzin Moskowitz that are not necessarily fair, but that's the nature of this business. Rebbetzins aren't paid. There's no contract. There's not even necessarily set expectations, but in our case, we are so blessed, and I know our community knows it and appreciates it, to have Rebbetzins who are really devoted, whether they are paid or not. I want to remind everyone, those who give 180 or more tonight in the middle of the show will get a signed autographed copy of the brand new book. And how excited we are right now to welcome the author of that new book. Stay on, Rebbetzins. Might as well, everyone stay on. The author of our new book, Hiding in Plain Sight, Rabbi and Rebbetzin, Rabbanit Shabtai. They're hiding in plain sight right now. Welcome to Behind the Bima, your inaugural appearance on Behind the Bima. Rabbi Dr. David Shabtai, Monica Rabbis and Shabtai, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you really for all that you do. And in welcoming you, I want to give a special shout out. Rabbi Shabtai, as his title indicates, is also a doctor, an MD, and has been an indispensable, invaluable asset and resource for us over this past year. He's on every task force in our community and beyond. He's guiding us. He's made himself available all hours of the day and night to help us through sticky situations. And we appreciate all that medical expertise that you bring in addition to everything else, and that your family has lent you to us at sacrifice. It's not easy. One of the themes that we're talking about, although this is not one of those like rabbinic gatherings like woe is us, we're martyrs, everyone should pity us, because there are plenty of couples, one's a doctor, a lawyer, and the like, who it's a tough life. So anyway, Shabtai's welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, your background, but a little birdie told me today that we've also got to ask you how you met.
Oh, I don't think that's what she meant, but sure. We met in high school. That's not so exciting. But we used to live in Washington Heights for a good number of years before we got here. This is our 7th year now in Boca Raton. Before we were in Washington Heights for
13 years.
13 years. That's too many years to be in Washington Heights for. It's a wonderful.
That's a lot of moving the car. That's a lot of moving the car for alternate size parking.
Well, we only got a car after we had kid number 4.
Yeah,
that's when we had it with, we needed a car.
Yeah.
So
wonderful people though. It was really a wonderful community. Numbers you get the wrong impression. It's a great community. It's just a challenging place to live. And before that, I was in YU for many years, and then medical degree from NYU and Columbia. And I went to Har Etzion, to Gush. I don't know why some people find that somewhat strange, but I'm a proud Gush alumni. And then we got here.
Strange. They're not necessarily consistent with what they would assume you would do.
If you knew us in high school, it was pretty consistent.
Okay. Okay. Where are you from?
Oh, me?
You're up. That's you.
Yeah.
I'm from Staten Island. We met at Flatbush, where we were in high school. Then I went to Bravenders and Columbia, and then we got married when we were in college.
Amazing. So what is it? What's the story of how you met or got married that the little birdie whispered we should be asking you about?
So we knew we were getting engaged by a particular day because Monica's grandparents were heading out to Florida, actually, and so we knew it had to be before they went down, and so we knew it was happening. So I tried to do it in some exciting type of a way, and so I decided to propose during one of her classes, East Asian Civilization. So the engineering students have to take one like liberal arts class or something, and they all take East Asian civilizations because they're very interested in that area of the world. It's the easiest of the liberal arts classes to take, but it's a 300-person lecture. And so I had gotten in touch with the professor beforehand, Magda Al-Nawahi, and I emailed her out of the blue. And I said,
how did you know how to spell that email address?
I don't know. Probably have to look it up in a book because you don't have to do anything on the web.
He's David Shabtai. That's how he knew how to spell that name.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. So I remember I emailed her and she responded back. She goes, "This is somewhat strange. I wasn't really inclined to do it, but my kid was looking over my shoulder and told me I would be a terrible teacher if I didn't allow you to do this. So come 10 minutes before the end of the class and you can propose." Fine. So I planned. So there's a 300-person auditorium class, with seating going up. It's like one of these old classrooms in Columbia. And so I had no idea where she was going to be. So a good friend of mine, Jake, was there, and his job was to stand up and point. All the frum kids sat together. And so I walked in. She said we had a special guest. And so I walked in. Jake pointed. I went down. I brought a ring. I proposed. Dinner. Yeah. And we left. The silly part, which I'm assuming was referred to, was that afterwards, so it was written up in the Columbia Spectator newspaper or whatever. Afterwards, so another one of our friends was at the local the grocery,
Yeah.
whatever was there. And she was telling a friend, these kids that got engaged in class, it was so weird. And I think she said no. And like this friend of ours was like, why do you think she said no? Like, well, they didn't like hug or kiss or anything afterwards. So like she must have said no. And it was just awkward. So they walked away. And so this friend corrected them and tried to
Interesting.
explain.
Now, Rabbis and Shabtai, when you were dating and getting engaged, did you think you would be married to a practicing doctor? Did you know that he was going to be going into the rabbi?
I mean, he thought he was marrying an engineer, and I thought I was.
And
Neither one of us did what we were supposed to.
That's a good
All right, so
switcheroo.
that worked out.
Yeah, I'm marrying a was a rabbi.
Yeah.
And Rabbi Shabtai, at what point did you know you weren't going to be a practicing doctor, that you really wanted to be an Avodas HaKodesh?
So I went to NYU fully wanting to be a doctor, to practice medicine. I actually went MD PhD. I thought I would do a joint degree. And I actually discovered that I didn't like working in the lab. I had liked working in the lab that I had worked with. And to his credit, Dr. John Loiky, who's been a mentor and a great friend to me ever since, I enjoyed working with him. I didn't enjoy working in the lab. So I blame him completely for turning me astray. I enjoyed working with him. And so after 2 so the idea was 2 years of med school, then you do your PhD, and then you go back to the 2 years of med school for 4 years. And so I wanted to go back and instead of doing the PhD, to go back to yeshiva. And I actually prepared this whole speech to tell the dean of students why this was great and why it would, the NYU is very into making people worldly and making aware of what's going on. I'll be a better doctor. I can relate to the world. And I prepared this whole speech. And I don't usually do that. And I prepared in front of a mirror, like the whole thing. I went to him and I explained to him exactly what would happen. And I was ready. And I said, I want to do this and I want to take off. And so I was debating how long to ask him for. So I was going to take off a year. And then someone the night before said, well, ask for 2 so that you can negotiate down to 1 and you'll get what you want. Seemed reasonable. So I go to him. I said, you know what? I want to take off these 2 years to go to yeshiva. I think it'll make me a better doctor. And he comes to me and goes, well, will you get ordination then? He knew the word. I said, actually, yeah, if I take off 2 years, that was my plan. So I guess if I take off 2 years, I'll get smicha. He goes, you should do that. And I said, what? And he cut me off. And for 20 minutes, he lectured me on why this was the greatest idea ever. So very uncharacteristically, I sat quiet for the 20 minutes. He lectured me. And then I went back to yeshiva. I came back for years 3 and 4. At the end of the 3rd year, I decided that the practicing, the day-to-day wasn't for me. And if I wasn't really into it, I wouldn't make a great doctor. And so I didn't think it was fair to me or my patients if I was not going to be a great doctor. So I finished off med school and then I went back to yeshiva and Kololian for 4 years after that.
It's amazing because you came to that recognition and yet you went all the way through in terms of finishing medical school, which is an enormous amount of work and a big investment. Yeah, and paying for it. Probably still paying for it.
Still paying for
just
it.
in, by the
Still
way.
paying for it.
We've got great news for Rabbi Broide, not such good news for Rabbi Moskowitz. Rabbi Broide, your $1,800 donation has come in. Still looking for a home with walking distance to BRS. Can't wait. They love Ahava and Boaz. $1,800. You are now catching up with Rabbi Moskowitz, but it also means you need to sign their copy of the book.
I am Rabbi. I'm coming over right now.
I'm just saying, for 2 weeks now, we've been pushing the Brodies. If there's anyone out there that wants to help me stay ahead of the Brodies, I would welcome that.
Yeah, first of all,
what are the Schreiers?
What are the Schreiers up to tonight? It's a week late now. The Schreiers have done their part. That is an amazing story.
Thank you.
And you guys are a great asset. Let's pivot to, and thank you so much for that generosity. Everyone, keep going to brsonline.org/global, brsonline.org/global. $108 and more gets you a copy of this brand new sefer, hot off the press. You'll be among the first to get it, and you'll be autographed and signed by Rabbi Dr. David Shabtai. Rabbi Shabtai,
shameless self-promotion. If you don't give it, you can still get it on Amazon. So
you can still get it on Amazon, but you won't be supporting the Shul.
I'd rather send you an autographed one, but just, it's there too.
Exactly.
Okay,
so, Rabbis and Shabtai, talk to us about the area of BRS. You are the Sephardi Rabbi and Rebbetzin. We have an amazing team at BRS we're so grateful for. Rabbi Moskowitz and I are the full-time rabbis, and I say that not because there's a difference. They say in the rabbinate, there's no such thing as a full-time or part-time rabbi, only a full-time or part-time salary. And that's certainly true in the case of everyone that our listeners are going to meet tonight, because nobody's working part-time. Unfortunately, the positions are structured as such, but they all give their all. You are the Rabbi and Rebbetzin of our Sephardi minyan. Talk a little bit about that minyan? How many members? Where do they come from? The makeup, the diversity. What are some of the unique opportunities and challenges of serving specifically that minyan? Now, all of our rabbis obviously are connected with the whole community, and we all speak in all the minyanim, and we're all connected with each other's family. But that's your primary focus, obviously, daily minyan and the like.
Okay.
You can talk about demographic.
Sure. So we have about 80 something families that are members on the regular Shabbos pre-COVID. Hopefully post-COVID, we've got 100 and 120 people at our main minyan on Shabbos. The Sephardic minyan. So we're not one particular Eda. People think Sephardim are one unique group. It's not. It's from many, many different countries over many different areas. We're about 40 to 50% Moroccan and 40 to 50% not Moroccan, which means some Syrians, some Egyptians, Persians, etc. They're all very different. You got to make sure you get them all right. We have about 50% Israelis also, and 50% not Israelis, not necessarily corresponding each other. And so that creates it's a nice, I think it reflects very well on our notion of diversity. And like, we really, really do have a lot of different groups together. And so that's reflected in the way we manage tefillah. So we have there's a Yerushalmi nosach, which is generally the more common Sephardic nosach, and then there's a Moroccan version. And so we alternate between the two to try to make sure that everyone has everyone's heritage is respected and the background is done reflected. And it's really interesting. We have a lot of people coming from a lot of different walks of life, which is, I think, true in all of our minyanim. But people come with these great stories and these great backgrounds and full of heritage and different types of traditions. And I think it does create a far more enriching experience for everybody.
You know the story of when I went to Israel, when I'd become taken over as the rabbi, and I went to go see Rav Ovadia Yosef, Zchus Yagen Aleinu, about there was some conflict and tension in the minyan about some of the nusach and the choice of what to daven. And, sometimes it's possible that chairs were lifted over other people's heads, and there was a real sense of passion over the nusach. And I joke, by the way, that as an Ashkenazi, I'm so jealous, because with the Sephardim, if you don't sing the right nusach or you skip that piyut that we say, it could get literally violent. With the Ashkenazim, it's, you could say it, don't say it, whatever, just get us out of here. Whatever will get us out of here fastest, I could care less what you're saying or not saying. So I went to go see Rav Ovadia Yosef in Israel, and I said to him, we've got this diverse mix-up demographics. What nusach should we be davening? So I don't know if you ever had the privilege of meeting him, but apparently there's a Sephardi practice as a expression of affection, to slap someone across the face. So he slapped me across the face several times, and he said, you should be davening Nusach Yerushalmi, because you should all be in Yerushalayim. What are you doing in Boca Raton? So I came back and reported that, and as you see, didn't have much impact. Yeah. So tell us, again, I invite the Brodis or Moskowitzes if they have some questions for the Shabbatais, but around the calendar year, are there any other Sephardi particular events that if you did not grow up Sephardi, you may not be aware of or familiar with?
So we do. We have a couple. I guess I grew up with them, so it's hard to know like what's different. But so for example, something that we've tried to do a couple of years is a mimuna. A mimuna is every woman's dream come true. Let's throw a big party, Motzei Pesach. Right.
Let me just say, only Sfardim can pull off a mamuna. If an Ashkenazi tried a mamuna, we'd be sleeping on the couch that night. Sfardim, it's like, you just made Pesach, now we want you to cook some more, Mazel Tov. Yeah.
But chametz, like moments after Pesach is over, we and when we do it in Shul, so people don't actually put away their Pesach stuff. They stay in Shul to do, they're very dedicated to make this happen. Like their Pesach stuff is put away the next day or the day after, like that'll wait. This is more important. And it was practiced pretty much in lots of different places. The Moroccans do it, the Persians do it, a lot of different groups do it. The get-up might be somewhat different and the music is different, but it's all chametz food. It's this big Motzei Pesach party. It's supposed to be a siman bracha and fertility and prosperity. Everything's a skulala parnasah. That's the key to get Sephardim to come to something. A little bit of arak and a skulala parnasah, and they will be there. So there's a skulala parnasah.
You got to throw in some candles.
Oh, yeah. So candles is another.
Candles.
So that's a different. The candles are not usually a mimuna. That's a hilula, which is generally more of a Moroccan thing. We do a big Baba Sali hilula on the day of his yurtzeit, and this has become, particularly in Israel, a big cultural party. Not so much about the Baba Sali, more about the party. But there's a little bit about the Baba Sali. There's nothing written by him, so it's very hard to say over Divrei Torah from him. They have a lot of stories, selling candles, lighting candles. It's also just a big chavaya, just a cultural experience. This is one of the.
We got a candle. We got a candle because we had only girls, and the Sfardim were very invested in us having a son. So they bought us
Every year.
candles on the Hilula, and we brought it home and did not do anything for us
got a
for a
big
long
pile.
time.
Big
'cause
pile
we
of
had girl
candles.
after girl after girl. So maybe after we finally had the boy, maybe it was because of one of those candles.
Now,
You know,
first of all,
they dispute whose schus it is, by the way. That they'll all take credit for it, just to be aware.
they all.
For shine.
It's fine, no problem. Rabbi Moskowitz, you have pulled ahead because the Schreiers have donated $180 to get a copy of the book in your honor. So Rabbi Moskowitz has pulled ahead of Rabbi Brody. Rabbi Moskowitz,
Always
you have to
knew
make
the
sure that
Schreiers had my back.
you got to co-sign the Schreier edition of the new book, Hiding in Plain Sight. Rebbetzin Shabtai, you did not grow up Sephardi, is that correct?
So my stepfather's Sephardi. And him and my mother started seeing each other when I was 10 and got married when I was 14. So I didn't grow up Sephardi, but I was, basically from the time I was a teenager, my home became Moroccan. So
You're comfortable making all those foods.
Yeah, I remember clear as day. They got married in June, and my brother was born on Pesach, and his bris was the day after Pesach. And that first Motzei Pesach they're married. All of a sudden, my step grandmother starts cooking, and I thought my mother was going to pass out because she was just postpartum, making a bris the next day, and she was making pancakes in the kitchen. So that was our first Bimuna. But yeah, I'm very comfortable with Sfardim. My stepfather ran the shul, so it was kind of full circle when we got married, and they thought it was a bad joke. Like they laughed at me that I very Ashkenaz married a Sephardi after all that, but I was very comfortable with it.
Incredible. Okay, stay with us because we are now going to welcome further parts of our team. Rabbi Rael and Eliza Blumenthal, thank you so much for being with us. This is getting fun here. We should do like a newlywed game at some point.
This is like our staff meeting.
It's like a staff meeting.
Feels like a Monday morning.
Right.
Exactly. Rabbi and Rebbetzin Blumenthal, thank you so much for joining with us. For those who don't know, Rabbi and Rebbetzin Blumenthal, the Rabbi and Rebbetzin at BRS West, are incredible, outstanding, and fast-growing satellite 5 miles west. Rabbi Moskowitz knows it well because he walked there this past Shabbos, there and back, the day before running in an actual half marathon. So he can describe exactly the geography and topography of that walk. But the Blumenthals have been at BRS West for how long?
6. This is your 6th.
You're in our 6th year.
This is your 6th. And what's the growth? How many new families have come during that time?
Well, we got here. There were about 20-something families when we arrived.
Like 21 members. High holiday Jews.
And now, at last count, somewhere closer to 120. So
unbelievable.
It's been a lot getting everybody, finding a house and getting everybody enrolled in membership and involved in the shul. Oh, yeah. Thank God it's been really awesome and really busy. But Baruch Hashem, the shul's grown like crazy, and it's amazing to see. It's amazing to see the enthusiasm, the growth. Just the neighborhood's boomed, and we've been zeicha to see it happen. So
we'll get to South Africa. We'll learn more about you, both of your background. But what is a satellite? Most people watching or listening never heard of a shul that is a satellite. What does that mean? Why the arrangement? Why bother? You're growing, you're exploding, you're doing fantastic, fun, great things. Why stay connected? Why be a satellite?
So this is something that anybody that's not a rabbi and has never been involved in building a community would have no idea what the answer to this question is. Anybody that is a rabbi that has been involved in building a community knows that having the support and backing of the largest institution in town, having the support and backing of a massive enterprise called BRS, means that we can spend our time building relationships and connecting with people. To a certain extent, I joke with colleagues around the country that BRS West gets to do marketing because BRS does management. So we can market Yiddishkeit, we can build relationships, we can build a community, knowing that there's an amazing much larger community behind us to be able to support everything that we do, which means that we didn't have to worry about the kinds of things that most rabbis and rebbetzins of small shuls spend like 80-90% of their day worrying about. We didn't have to do that. We can partner with the largest institution in town without being competitors to it, to be able to work together so that our members are getting the best of an enormous community with all of you guys and all of the rabbis and all of the speakers and education and community resources, while still being able to get that like small town kind of homey feel. So, people that don't know what building a shul is, building a community is, are like, well, why are you a satellite? And people that do are like, yeah, that makes the most sense in the universe. And how can I, start BRS North, somewhere in Teaneck, and BRS West on the, next to LA. Like, anybody that's engaged in building a shul, it's a no-brainer to be able to partner with BRS. The whole world wants to do it. So those of you that are supporting Brs Global right now, just know that this is the beginning of huge things. So, and huge things are hiding in plain sight. That's it.
It is amazing. And the relationship is not just for this. This relationship and this banter and this friendship and this fun, we're all together every week, our staff meeting. We're thinking about every segment, demographic component of the community, and the integration and the shared values and the shared programming is, of course, what we're very excited about. But I don't want to monopolize this. The Brody's.
Yeah, I want to jump in for a second.
What do you want to ask?
I have a question for the Blumenthals, because I remember that when Rabbi Blumenthal, when you applied for this job, one of the things on your resume was that you like life hacks. And one of the reasons we love having you on the staff is you guys are bona fide millennials. I think I actually qualify as a millennial, but you're a real millennial. I'm like a millennial with a 90-year-old soul. You're a legit millennial. So why don't you give some life hacks? What are your favorite life hacks, things that our viewers might not know of that will make their lives more efficient that they might not be aware of?
So say what? Our dining room table, fun fact.
We were looking for a really big one.
We were looking for a dining room table that would be able to host
a lot
people.
of money.
And it was really expensive. How do you find a table that can comfortably seat like
16 people?
Yeah.
That's yeah.
So we were looking around, and like
I like
it
how
was.
he says we. He was looking.
It was like in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And then I called over one afternoon. I called over one of the guys in Shul that had recently moved in and happened to still have his pickup truck, which he gave up because driving a pickup truck around Boca is not the same thing as driving it around other places in the country. But I called him up. I was like, hey, you want to help me? I have something that just got delivered to Walmart. He was like, yeah, totally. So we drove to Walmart and picked up what I just had shipped to the store, which was a billiards room ping pong table, which was like on like a sale of a sale, because who wants a ping pong table that's made out of solid wood and doesn't fold? We do.
I was like, we don't work for NCSY anymore. Like, what are we doing? But I actually love it now. So okay. for a couple $100, we got a dining. Like 120.
Yeah.
It's like nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good joke.
We have a ping pong table that is our dining room table, and everybody that comes in is like, oh my gosh, where did you find such a large table that has so much room? We're like, well, if you lift up the plastic cover on top of it, you will see that the top is multi-purpose.
Very nice.
So,
and when the meal is over, do you break out the ping pong rackets?
Absolutely, every time.
I think the ratio of meals to ping pong is what? Probably 4,000 to 1 right now.
You can't play ping pong with a 3-year-old around, because then it's just one shot and then it's over. And then one shot and then it's over.
So, yeah.
That's one life hack.
I was going to say, I think it's really, really great. I mean, if you look around, for people that don't know Boca Raton Synagogue or BRS West, you just look around at the staff. It's so diverse on the one hand. On the other hand, you look at it, you say, I mean, it's very young. And you think about when most of us started, we were in our 20s, and some, I guess, came in early 30s. But for the most part, it's actually really interesting that we got hired to work as rabbis in a pretty impressive shul in our 20s. To do different
It wasn't
things.
impressive
And-
until we were hired.
Oh, relax, relax.
I can't even see what you said.
Anyone listening to this and in general knows about us that confidence is not something that we lack at the Boca Raton Synagogue. But, you know,
No, I think it's
obviously
really
making up-
cool. I think it's just really special. Where we were young, we didn't really know much of what we were doing. We kind of got out of smicha, got established in a community that's kind of out of town, but very, very big, and began our careers and all stuck with it. We're all still here.
If we wanted to play a fun game tonight, we would have asked our listeners among the 5 couples on right now, who went to Columbia and NYU, who went to Ner Yisrael, who went, we could have posed some
Hopkins,
interesting
by the way.
questions.
Don't forget Hopkins.
Some of the unpredictable questions that people might not have known. Rabbi Blumenthal, how did your accent is what, Brooklyn? 5 towns?
Like that.
Dude.
That's
Brooklyn.
it's Moroccan.
It's Moroccan Brooklyn.
That's
How did you make your way from South Africa?
So I finished high school in South Africa. I went to Keren Biavne. I had all the intentions in the world of that would be another fun question. Who went to KBY? I had all the intentions in the world of going back to South Africa and getting a degree in engineering and learning in the Yeshiva Gedolah in South Africa. That was kind of the plan. At that point in time, this was before the recession, YU had a program that they were basically trying to become the center for the Jewish future. That was once upon a time that meant bringing people from around the Jewish world to YU before the recession. And I was very, very lucky to be offered a scholarship to go learn in YU. I was like the second last South African to be offered that deal. Myself and my chavrusa and good friend Rabbi Yaakov Trump was 2 years ahead of me in doing that, and I came to YU. I came to YU. It was the first time that I'd ever come to the United States of America. I had no idea. The only thing that I knew about New York and America was from watching like TV and movies before I did tshuva, right? So I'd only ever seen New York on the movies, and then I landed at JFK, and then they took me to Washington Heights, and I was like, they lied, because it's not the same thing, and that was pretty much the story.
Well, I guess we should be grateful to YU then for bringing you over. Obviously, Eliza is, and we're grateful for the two of you. Yeah, for the two of you and what you're doing. First of all, I want to thank our sponsor again, dailygiving.org. If you've not yet taken out your phone or taken a moment to check out dailygiving.org, make sure to check it out. It is an amazing way to give out stuckum every day, and every little bit adds up and collectively makes a big, big difference. dailygiving.org. Blumenthal, can I put you on the spot for a minute?
I think we are.
I'm pretty sure
Probably should have cleared some of this beforehand. But Rabbi Blumenthal, you recently, how shall I say this? I'll let you unpack it as much as you want, but you made an enormous change in your lifestyle and got yourself into good shape, better shape. You can be more specific if you want, because I didn't get permission to do so beforehand. Could you talk about what switched, what changed for you, for your family, as a family, to take on that different way of healthy living, healthy lifestyle? And, you can't talk to Rabbi Blumenthal these days. He's like an Ironman competing in triathlons, breaking record time. Usain Bolt's got nothing on him. So what happened? That is not, we don't have any old pictures and we're not going to put them up, but that is not the Rabbi Blumenthal that we first met.
So I'll tell you, Facebook, Baruch Hashem, thank you.
Still remembers.
Rabbi Zuckerberg, every couple of weeks, he reminds me, this happened 3 years ago. So there's always that. So a lot of people assume that there was like some like moment of revelation where like something happened and that's when everything changed. And the truth is, it's not like that. In the sense that, anybody that's living in a way that they are uncomfortable with, no matter what that thing is that they're doing, engaged in, living in a certain way that's not making them happy. So you kind of, it's not so much like a switch that you flip. It's kind of like you flip-flop for a long time between like, I really should do something about this. And like, you think about how you're going to do it. And then you ruminate on how you're going to change your life. And then like, you kind of don't. And then that happens for like, 20 years of abusive eating. And at some point in time, you look at yourself and you're like, all of the things that I've been thinking about, at some point in time, I should start putting into practice. But if you want like the moment of kind of more or less when things changed and like how I managed to change anything in my life, it kind of begins with a tiny amount of success. What I mean by that is like the biggest and first hurdle is to like do something, to like attempt to do anything, and then to like fail a little bit, and then to like succeed a little bit, and then to say, oh, I just lost like 2 pounds, which, is basically like, not having an extra soda and then going to sleep. And then you're like, wow, okay, that was doable. I can like do like a little bit more. And it's kind of these two trajectories that meet up with each other. There's the one trajectory of like all of the thoughts of like how I want to live and what I want to look like and what kind of picture I want to have of myself and what I want to be able to see when I look in the mirror and how I feel about myself. And that at some point in time meets up, like this huge idea meets up with like the tiniest, bittiest little bit of success. And then if you manage to plug in all of the thoughts and all of the emotions and all of the dreams into that tiny drop of success, so then you can do it again. And
amazing. Are you comfortable sharing a number? Am I allowed to put you on the spot?
It's about 100 pounds.
100 pounds. It's absolutely incredible, inspiring.
Now now Rabbi Goldberg, it's not just Rabbi Blumenthal, Rabbi Shabtai. I mean, you are not on such a grand scale, but you also made significant changes since you moved here. You started running. I mean, I remember the first time you ran a mile, it was like an 11-minute mile and you were gassed afterwards and you couldn't function at all. And now you're running like marathons at 7-minute miles. What changed in you? What precipitated that change? The discipline involved out there every single day, like clockwork. Walk us through some of your changes.
So, in all honesty, most of it is your fault. It was we were talking once in the office back when I had a place in the office, and we were talking about doing this ridiculous thing that never came to fruition. You're going to do a 5K twice around the circle. We talked about this. It's like
I don't remember.
Not. Anyway, so we were talking about it and we were like trying to make teams and raise money. And I walked out and I came back and the conversation was still going on. And I think you were talking to someone else, and I think it was Matthew was like, nah, it's too hard. And I'm like, oh, come on. It's not a big deal. I don't run and I can make this happen. I'm sure I can make this happen. I'm sure I could do it. And I hadn't realized that the conversation switched from a 5K to a half marathon when I was out. And I think you and Matthew looked at me and you're like, really? You could do it? I'm like, yeah, what's the big deal? And then I put my foot in my mouth and I signed up for a half marathon without knowing it. But in all honesty, I was a little bit frustrated trying to find time to learn on my own. I like to listen to Rav Shechter, and this is a weird thing, but this is the time when I listen to Rav Shechter. I've gone through several Masechtas with him. So that's my time. So that's a lot of Talmud Torah that I attribute to you.
You might be the only person who can say that I go running with Rav Shechter every day. You might be the only person.
He's got a great cadence. I don't know. It works. It works. It works.
You remember before one of our
Get him on the Peloton.
Yeah. You remember before one of our meetings, you Rabbi Goldberg, you wanted us to all start working out, and this was like our annual meeting, and you brought one of your trainers.
That was,
I think within 2 minutes,
that was the first meeting, like the year that we got hired.
Oh my god!
And I remember calling Aliza and saying, I don't know what's up with these people, but if we're going to be like working out at every staff meeting, I don't know if I'm so keen on
We're out of here.
It was
That
like,
was it, yeah.
like 97 degrees outside, and like we had just come from New Jersey, and you know, your first summer in Boca, you know, we've had the incredible fortune of seeing many families go through their first summer in Boca, where like
It's like a badge.
2 months, like 2 months after Sukkot, you're like, why am I sweating when I breathe outdoors? Like, why is that a thing that still happens? So I remember it was like, we had come from like shoveling snow to like go to the staff meeting. And Rabbi Goldberg was like, I got a trainer. I got a trainer here. And I was like, this sounds interesting. And I think within about 8 seconds, I was like, I need to stop, and where's lunch? And
he was like, okay, let's 30 push-ups right now.
And,
I remember that. No, listen. Big shout out to David Ellis, Easy Breezy. So again, people don't necessarily appreciate. So we have the staff. We have there's another Rabbi Shabtai who's going to be joining us momentarily. But we have this incredible staff, really dear friends, colleagues, partners. And we work together. There's not a hierarchy. We all, I certainly don't perceive anybody hesitates. We're all in. We give pushback. We creatively plan and vision together, and to create the community that we're trying to grow. So we meet every Monday morning. We review the previous week. We plan for the coming week. And once or twice a year, we do a full day. We go off campus in order to really open up the imagination and in order to really plan out the whole calendar, the whole year. Obviously, this year was more complicated than most. And the idea then was, I was on a little bit of the health kick then, and the idea was, if we'll be disciplined with our health and wellness, with our eating, with our body, we'll be disciplined in our neshama, with our work, we'll be disciplined in our ruchnius, we'll be disciplined with our work, with every aspect of life. So we brought Dave Ellis, Easy Breezy, and I remember, I won't say who, Rabbi Blumenthal and Matthew, but he had us doing the lunges.
They were gone for the
and
day, by the way.
I don't know that you recovered for like 3 days. You and Matthew, that was it. We're talking close to bringing in a defibrillator. So thank God that was
Rabbi
that was a lot of
Goldberg,
fun.
I'll be honest, I'm pumped for this year's retreat. If you want to bring him back,
Well, that's the joke.
I think I can handle it a little more these days. So.
The joke of it is, I had been working out with him, and I was so excited, like the oldest guy, to flex to all of you, basically try to keep up. And now you all run circles and circles, quite literally, circles and circles around me. So, Rabbis and Blumenthal, tell us a little bit about your role. Rebbetzin out at BRS West. BRS West is part of the bigger community, also has its own, because locally it's different. What do you love about being a Rebbetzin? What do you wish would be different about being a Rebbetzin?
I do love being a Rebbetzin here. I like the community. It's an interesting community just because the median age is kind of around my age a little bit. I feel like a lot of the women here and the couples here that we've kind of gone through, starting with 1 kid to 2 kids, going from the single stroller to the double stroller. And it's rare to be the same age as a lot of the people that you get to be a Rebbetzin of. So I feel really privileged to have that opportunity. It's not something I ever imagined when we were starting to go into all this. So it's also just fun for me to connect with people, and because we're around the same age, so we're talking about other things in life, and then it happens to be when Torah comes up and the halachic questions come up. And I find that just because we have this relationship where we are, millennials, thank you, Rabbi Moskowitz, of similar age and everything, that I find people are more willing to ask halachic questions that maybe they wouldn't have asked before, more comfortable, the texting relationship and reaching out. And I kind of love that. I know when Rael and I were starting here, we came from an NCSY background, and we're like, how do we switch to adults? How do we make a difference? And it's kind of the same, just people leave. And sometimes help clean up afterwards, which is also nice. But so I feel like I got a lot of training through NCSY. So I actually like this a lot, even more, to be honest. I feel like I'm making more of an impact, different kind of impact on people, and things I don't like about being, I like plenty of things. I guess COVID showed me that there's a lot more, that I could do. And I feel like I don't have that connection with people right now. And that's been a hard balance to figure out. But it's also made me realize some personal things about how much I'm a Rebbetzin and also how much I'm a mom. And to make sure that I'm like, the way even my house I recognized was designed was all about guests and all about other people and things. And with Corona, I bought a lot more Lego. So that has happened. So I'm grateful for the shift in understanding, but I didn't realize how my attention was very, very shul. And I'd like to continue that, but try and figure out that balance with as my kids are getting older.
That's fantastic. We have the privilege of setting a new record here on Behind the Bima. Where is he?
How many people work at this shul?
We're not even bringing all of our staff on. We have many more.
Oh, you know what?
We'll work out this.
Rabbi
technical
Shabtai is
glitch in
going to
the
do. He's
meantime.
going to be calling in with the phone. He's going to be on the video with the other thing.
No, Rabbi Shabtai, he texted me privately. He's trying to be like Naftali Bennett and Ben Shapiro. The more prominent you are, the worse your Wi-Fi. So he's trying to show who's boss here. Let's see if we can bring him back. There he is. Rabbi Simcha Simi Shabtai.
Best beard on the staff.
Rabbi Shabtai, by far the best beard. First of all, I want to thank dailygiving.org again for the generosity. 2 weeks going. If you haven't yet taken out your phone, do it now. Make a difference. You're not doing a favor for them. Dailygiving.org is doing a favor for you. And if you haven't gone on brsonline.org/global, we are running out of books. Rabbi Shabtai, I have to tell you, it's maybe time to print a new running already of, you all right? Of, you need a coffee? Of Hiding in Plain Sight. Hiding in Plain Sight, Rabbi Dr. David Shabtai. Rabbi Simi Shabtai, have you read Hiding in Plain Sight yet?
Sorry, shouldn't laugh.
Hold on, is he frozen? You can't tell if he's frozen.
Let me just introduce.
While we're waiting for him, this is one of my favorite books, Rabbi Lau. If you put me in front of Rabbi Goldberg, I will autograph this book for you right now. You'll have it tomorrow.
There you go.
Rabbi Brody, I'm 500 ahead of you.
Yep. Rabbi Brody needs 500. Do we have a few donors? 180, get a free autographed book and catch up. Rabbi Simcha Shabtai, we are so grateful that you're part of our team. Of course, you're amazing. Rabbits and Dvoro unfortunately can't be with us tonight on Behind the Bima. But Rabbi Shabtai is our Rosh Beis Medrash and the head of our women's midrashah. You might notice if you're watching, there's a lot of unusual things about our shul. Most shuls don't typically have an outreach rabbi in Rebbetzin. They don't necessarily have a Sephardi rabbi in Rebbetzin. They don't have a satellite rabbi in Rebbetzin. And they don't usually have, a shul doesn't have its own Beis Medrash and midrashah. The Dr. Yitzchak Belazan Beis Medrash of BRS and the Mrs. Danny Grejah, our Lashon women's midrashah of BRS. Tell us about your role in those two things and where you come from. And tell us a little bit about that beard that we're also envious of. Can you hear us?
Where came from the beard and one more time?
Hold on. Yeah, we're having some
now, Rabbi. Now our listeners are getting the full Monday morning staff experience.
Exactly. Nathan Zucker is already writing in. He's 35,000 feet above us, and he's able.
Nathan Zucker is the second person to text me in the middle of the broadcast who was watching from over 35,000 feet in the air. Now that planes have Wi-Fi,
better reception than Rabbi Shabtai.
Harav Simi, can you hear us?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you. Repeat the question one more time. Midrashah, beard, my brother, book.
All the above. Yeah, we want to hear your view. We want to hear it all. Personality tests. We want it all.
Oh, fantastic. My name is Simi Shabtai. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I had the privilege of being Rabbi Dr. David Shabtai's younger brother. We shared bunk bed. Spent time in YU, spent time at some other yeshivas, and made our way to Boca Raton about.
Oh man!
Rabbi Shabtai is an older brother.
I did not get a chance to look so much at the book. I saw about a little bit of it. Well, he also has the privilege of having more hair, so it kind of confuses people sometimes. Yeah, so the way we got involved initially was about 10 years ago. I had emailed Rabbi Goldberg from Eretz Yisrael about starting a summer kollel in Boca. And that somehow came out and it started. And summers came years ago.
Okay.
We are having some Wi-Fi challenges, Rabbi Shabtai. Coming in and out. Hold on, we're going to try to find Rabbi Shabtai a better location. Can you hear us? But in the meantime, we'll tell you, we have this amazing Beis Medrash of BRS, afternoon kollel 4 afternoons a week, night seder visiting Rosh Hashiva series, high-level learning of all levels, and a very, very active Beis Medrash. and a women's midrasha with women's learning of all levels and women's learning opportunities, and women's scholars in residence, women's programs, mother-daughter learning, and so much more. And Rabbi Simcha Shabtai oversees all of that, and it's a privilege to have him on our team. And we need to get him some new Wi-Fi.
After a year, you thought we would have fixed his Wi-Fi issue.
We're still getting there.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now we hear you. We hear you a little bit in and out.
Okay. Well, you basically said my whole life story, so you did a great job.
Tell us what you do. Tell us your vision for the Beis Medrash, the Midrashah. Most shuls don't have such a thing. Why is it important to you that our shul and our community does?
I mean, you probably do a much better job explaining it than I would. I think every shul tries to have as much kedusha cultivated in the shul as possible in terms of Torah and tefillah. What we're able to do, or what we try to do at least, is to, instead of having everybody privately on their own development, Hashem, try to bring more with the program.
We are struggling. I don't know if you can hear us, but Rav Simi, we're struggling to hear. Rav Simi is a serious Talmid Chacham and a very serious leader and visionary. Brings a lot of creativity to our team, and I hope he can find a neighbor with some good Wi-Fi or go back to the Beis Medrash at BRS and rejoin us, because he's such an indispensable part of what we do and a really, really important voice. So we are, ladies and gentlemen, the night is just getting started. This is the BRS Rabbi and Rebbetzin Shavuos all-night telethon, Brs Global Campaign.
Can we take a break just to make sure our kids are like...
Where are the priorities?
Parents are sitting here.
Where are the priorities? Where are the priorities? All right.
We're going to board pressing in about 30 minutes. Wait, just stick around, folks.
We're just getting started. Lightning round. Each of the Rebbetzins, describe your husband on Purim.
Ooh. Is that not obvious?
Ariel, go ahead. That was it.
I think.
No, why don't you let someone else go?
Holy, he's really holy.
I'd love to share.
Here, Rabbi Blumenthal, why don't you describe both Rabbi Blumenthal and me on Purim?
I will.
He's super
share.
holy. I love hanging out with Ariel.
Yes, I do. That is one of my favorite parts of Purim. It's very Leibdic in our house.
I like it.
Like that one? Yeah.
That was great.
I will say, for all my wife,
I'm taking the question back.
No, I'm gonna go right to Rabbis and Goldberg and ask her where Rabbi Goldberg ends up at the end of his Purim suit every year. But for all the joking, this year, because we're still trying to figure Purim out, I will say, for all the joking, the Rebbetzins do love Purim. They love the house, open all day, people coming by, the chaos of the experience. My kids look forward to it all year round. The suit is beautiful. It's amazing. It's inspirational. So, for all the joking around about it, it's a really beautiful experience. And that's why they're going to miss it a lot this year.
Yeah. It is a beautiful experience. Well, it's funny because this year Hashem is kind of calling all the women's bluff about Purim. Because frum women often complain about Purim and Simchas Torah. And so this year, I don't know about you, I said to you, we can't really have a Suda, we're not going to do anything. She's like, what do you mean? We have to do something. I said, no, every year you say you can't stand, and the people who come through, and me, the way I am. So we're just going to call it off. Called the Purim Bluff. So this is the grand Purim Bluff year. But we're all going to make the most of it and have a beautiful Purim with whatever we can in it. I was going to ask the next question, but I'm getting myself into trouble in the 10 o'clock hour. I was going to ask.
This is when it all goes.
This is the best part.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Can I just say, I feel like I'm on that that Disney backstage Disney tour where we got to see everything that was going on under. This is how I'm watching, and he's going on this, and he's putting this, and putting on the ticker board.
Yeah, in case you've been hearing
the full view of how we direct and produce and create.
Basically,
and the whole
Rebbetzins going to be the new producer of Behind the Bima.
You should give people tours.
If you're hearing whispering throughout this podcast, let's just say this episode, the feedback didn't wait till after it was over. But why are you switching the screen? And why are you so distracted? And you're so ADD and I can't focus.
But Goldberg, you've been doing a lot of asking. Let me ask Rabbis Goldberg a question that put her on the spot a little bit. And that is as follows. Obviously, Rabbis Goldberg, your husband, is a very public personality. He's giving drushas all the time, shiurim, writing articles, and many of his classes are somewhat self-revealing. He tells stories about the family. He tells stories about himself. I'm curious, as the spouse of a rabbi like that, how do you feel about that? Do your kids ever mind sometimes when he tells stories about the family? Do you ever mind when he reveals something in an emunah class or in a drasha or in an article or behind the bima, for example, that sometimes you'll cringe and say, ooh, I wish he didn't do that. Does it ever make you feel uncomfortable? Are you used to the publicity of the role at this point? Take us behind the scenes as a Rebbetzin.
Go behind the mechitza.
Simone, should I accept this 5-question question, or should I pass because
that wasn't on the script
in the question? I don't know. Wasn't that part of the deal? That you have to have one question in the question? Okay, so I will answer it. So it's funny. I think that between the two of us, I'm probably more of a private person, and I feel that that's a value. That's something that I try to keep things private. I don't know, personal. But I think that part of his charm and his success and how he feels he connects to those people who might not even be in our community, but all over. I think that's something that he feels is helpful in his position, and to be able to share and be authentic. And that's something that is a tool. And I think he has a lot of heart. So everything that he does and he teaches is with his heart and with his whole being and his soul, and that's who he is. He's not an act. He's very much who he is, through and through. And he I forgot some of your questions. Can you go back? What were some of the questions?
That I'm self-revealing.
Does it make me okay, so does it make me uncomfortable? There are times it does where I feel like, you didn't have to go there. That you didn't have to mention. We didn't have to repeat that story. And it's interesting, the difference between, we actually have a few of us have older kids now who really understand and listen into these shows and these classes. And, we were in a pizza store last summer and someone came over and said, oh, did you find your daughter's sheitel? Did it ever come up? I'm like, how do people know that her sheitel was lost in the mail before her wedding? Because he spoke about it in a Emunah class, and you have to have bitachon, and things work out, and people know a lot about us just from listening to his classes, and it's just, it always amuses me. So I typically find it amusing. I think it's fine. There's really nothing that's ever been revealed that's been too crazy, but every once in a while I'll be like, it doesn't have to give everything away. You could be a little bit mysterious. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think our kids are pretty cool about it also. It's funny that they know a lot about the Goldberg family, the whole
we have some kids who are like, don't ever mention me, don't ever mention you're related to me. Right. But most of our kids are like, please mention me as much as you can. KalevanAtara.com. But please mention me as much as possible.
None of our kids have a resentful of being the rabbi, don't want to be known. They're all very proud. They're all in this with us. And
I'll tell you a great story. First of all, life is so much better when you live it and then you can share it. So, but earlier this evening, I'm sitting here in my study and I was working from home, as I'm asked to do often, and I was on a Zoom, and a mashulach comes and knocks on the door, and I hear my 8-year-old Shai, our 8-year-old, answers the door, and he's telling this mashulach, who probably only speaks Yiddish, he's telling him, my father's not available, he's on an important Zoom. But this mashulach never heard of Zoom, never heard of technology, the internet, so he said, he's in an important room? So the 8-year-old said, no, an important Zoom. What room? He's in an important Zoom. Can I go into the important room? And it's going in circles and circles. The Shai is trying to explain to him he's in an important Zoom, and I'm cracking up in my important Zoom listening to that conversation. And you know what's funny? You think I'm an open book. I pale in comparison to Rabbi Brody. Rabbi, for example, social media, I don't post personal things. Rabbi Brody, open book. Open book. Simone, how do you feel about that?
The Friday Night Live group, I think, knows everything about our life. I think when I was in labor, he was telling them that I was dilated. I was like, seriously, there's talking about thing he's very open with them. And the funny thing is, he's actually more private in general. He's personally more private. So I find it amusing that he shares a lot about me and our family with congregation.
Right.
Yeah. So,
what about the Shabbat is private?
I don't tell any, if it's friends, I don't want to tell anyone anything about my life.
Exactly.
But in front of 500 people, I'm happy to share everything.
That is the phenomenon of
social
media, of technology, that if you're not seeing people, you're in front of a screen, it's easier to expose and share, and you wouldn't do it in person necessarily. It's really
right.
That's how it is there.
Yeah.
What about the Shabbatais? Open book, a little more closed?
Closed.
I find it honestly that I teach high school also, that the students always look for more. So sometimes they're just trying to stall and not learn stuff, and so they'll look for anything. I've taught a number of the Goldberg girls also. Always the girl, especially in the girls' classes, want to know more and more and more about you. And sometimes it's a stall tactic, but sometimes they sort of relate more. They people relate to us as real people. Okay, yeah, I also have these challenges and difficulties. And I was once in high school and it was challenging, real stories. And it does make it more personable. But you become a little bit more vulnerable also. And so there's a little bit of a balance. So in school, I try to be more thoughtful about it, I think. What yes and what not, and is there going to be more of a value to it? In Shul, so then if I think there's value, I'll share a little bit more here and there. My kids are often there, and so it can be more of it. They'll give me a look, and not to, but they're older kids, so they're there in Shul, and so they're part of it. So some are more okay with it than others.
Yeah, they're part of the program, like it or not. We're gonna do an episode with the kids at one point. That should be fun. Okay. What about the Blumenthals? Eliza, is your husband an open book? How do you feel when he's given a drasha? Do you know what's coming? Does he review the drasha with you beforehand? Or are you ever sitting there, I'm talking pre-corona, and then you hear a story and you say, we didn't talk about that. I didn't give clearance on that.
No, he's pretty good. Usually the things that he shares are things that I'm fine with. But we're pretty open with a lot of things.
They're millennials. That's a millennial thing.
Sure. Cool. That must be everything to a millennial.
I will tell you the greatest story involving the rabbinate and our children was the Shabbos a year plus ago, that the Goldbergs came to visit for Shabbos. And Ayelet Blumenthal saw a family coming to visit for Shabbos. And the first question she asked was, are you moving to BRS West?
She said to me, are you checking out the community?
That's it.
Yeah, checking.
Are you checking it out with your grandchildren?
That's it. So that was awesome. But I'll tell you the truth. I often feel.
I have to interrupt you because that is by far.
By the way, I'm sending Gabriel.
The best comment.
I'm sending Gabriel
best behind the Bima live comment of all time.
Dr. Shabtai's book.
Thank you, Gabriel. Can someone check Rabbi Brody's phone right now and whether he's on YouTube as Gabriel?
That's probably my mom.
Hold on, someone's got to read the comment because our listeners on the podcast. By the way, if you're listening to the podcast, don't forget to rate and review. But what is this comment? Somebody read it, please.
Josh looks like Tom Cruise when he smiles.
I will say that my mom does say that I have the whitest teeth on behind the Bima. Just throwing it out there.
Oh, wow.
Really? Wow.
I'm not saying anyone's out there not good.
Going there with the mom?
Any dentistry practices
like that?
Exactly. We have to thank our dear friends across the globe. We are at $81,500. When we started this campaign, it was a pipe dream. Nobody knew what was going to come in. Nobody knew how many friends we really have. But there are 637 supporters. And the goal is to hit our 100,000. But the goal also is to get to our 900 because we have 900 local members. We'd love to match it with 900 global members and really be expanding our community. So from the bottom of our hearts, we want to thank the people who gave. If you haven't given yet and you enjoy the content that we put out, please take a moment, go on brsonline.org/global, brsonline.org/global, and you can give either for Rabbi Brody, who's going to try to catch him up. He is currently $400 behind Rabbi Moskowitz, or you can give and bring the Shabtai brothers into 4 digits. And so name one of them, give in their honor, and help bring us along. What are the questions? What's on our listeners' minds?
That's another great question. A question just came in. How does Simone feel that her mother-in-law is being mentioned in every single episode?
I love my mother-in-law, so it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
It's a very special relationship.
Okay.
Okay. Isn't this almost over? When is this?
We are just getting
for a 10-minute interview. I'm not sure how it's 10:30 at night.
I don't know who that is.
I gotta Google that.
We are just getting
Comments are
started. Thank you
flying
again. If you want to get a signed autographed copy of the brand new Sefer Hiding in Plain Sight, Rabbi Dr. Shabtai, then
All right,
$100
next one,
right
we'll
now
go
during the show while we are live. Listeners and watchers, please text in. What is on your mind? What do you want to hear our Rebbetzins reveal about themselves, about us, about the life of the rabbinate? What do you want the rabbis to talk about? Get to meet our entire staff and family. Not entire. First of all, we should mention Jeffrey Goldberg, our incredible new COO, Chief Operating Officer, and his wonderful wife, Meira, are unable to be on tonight, but are an enormous part of our team. And we're thinking about them and love them and can't wait to bring them back on in a future episode. And Rabbi Zions, Rabbi Eli Zions, and Batsheva Zions, of course, our teen rabbi. We don't have a teen director, a teen youth. We have a teen rav, a teen rabbi. That's what he is. And it's a real coherent, amazing team together. What else is on your mind? What else do you want to know? What else do you want to hear? Rabbis, Rebbetzins, what else is going on in your life?
Well, why don't you make everyone know that they're not held hostage here? If they need to leave,
No.
they could be dismissed.
No, they are held
Yeah, we
hostage,
should do.
just
All
like
the
I was
rabbis
last
should leave
week.
and let the women just have a nice chat.
An episode of Behind the Machitza? No. We need to get to $100,000. So, we've still got $18,500 to go. The night is young.
Ariel needs her Diet Coke then.
And apparently,
What else is?
So, I have a question
Ooh.
that's based on the last conversation. And I
Okay.
think it's interesting. It's an interesting point. In the olden days, or even when we were growing up, the rabbis were very much, they were on kind of a pedestal. They were a little bit like untouchable. They gave their drushas. If you needed to meet with them, they were available. But you didn't really know everything about them. They weren't so accessible to you. There was certainly not social media. You didn't have their cell phone number. It wasn't like that. And they had a little, like a certain mystique to them where, you kind of aspired, you looked up to them. They had this appeal, but it wasn't that like super friendly, very comfortable kind of rapport that you had with your rabbi. And I think it could be a generational thing. Why are you laughing? What? It could be. I'm taking over for you.
Because someone just sent me a picture.
Someone sent you a picture
of Henry Hill.
Can you share it? You got to share the picture.
No, keep going. I'm
Rabbi
sorry.
Goldberg, can you share with the class?
No, please.
Seriously, I'm having a good.
Please.
Does he look
please
like
come.
Rabbi Moskowitz?
Please come.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, so what was the
You got
question?
a good laugh?
Yes,
You're good?
I feel better.
Purim's coming.
Purim. Mishenichnas Adar. Marben b'simcha.
Right. So anyway, my point is
I look
that
nothing
this
like
has
him.
evolved into a rabbi being a lot more approachable, a lot more relatable, a lot more on your level, and always out there and posting and commenting, and very much more. You're very much more candid.
What are you trying to tell me right now in
Not
front of the whole
telling you.
world?
No.
What are you getting at? What are you getting at? What is the
what
feedback
I'm saying,
you're trying to
I think
give
it's
me
a good
right now?
conversation. The different styles of the rabbinate, is this just a reflection on our
I will take that.
generation, or is it something that's preferred?
Hold on, which
I'm curious
one?
to know what
I
this
get a
thing
mobster. Rabbi Brody gets
You got it next.
So is it a generational thing? That's the question. Is it a generational thing?
So is the
The
No, I don't
rabbis-
think it's
Is
a
it better?
generational thing. No,
You
I
do
don't
or
believe
don't?
it's a
I think it's a
generational thing.
generational.
I'll share. Rabbi Goldberg, Rabbi Blumenthal, and I were once at a conference, and a conversation like this took place about being friends with Balabatim. And there was a very robust conversation about whether or not rabbis could actually be friends with their Balabatim. And it was not a generational thing. Predominantly rabbis felt that they could not be friends, like legitimate friends with their Balabatim. And with a great amount of pride, I'll say that Rabbi Goldberg, Rabbi Blumenthal, and I felt very much the opposite. Not only can you, but we felt it was necessary to, for our humanity, for just being normal. We needed to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and be friends with people. So I don't think it's a generational thing. I think many rabbis have been burnt along the way when they make themselves vulnerable, when they open up, when they make themselves more accessible, and then something happens and they're reminded that they're a paid employee of the Shul. So I don't think it's a generational thing. I think it's experience sometimes in the rabbinate will burn someone. But again, I personally feel that it's critical, it's necessary to being who you are and true to who you are and to being a real person.
So what you're saying is we're outliers. BRS, the Rabbis Rebbetzins, are outliers in the rabbinate. I remember that conference because the three of us really took on the whole rest of the conference and the rabbis, and they didn't even comprehend, like, what does it mean? In the end of the day, you're an employee. They have either, because of your kavod, you have to be makbid on it, they have to show you honor. How could you possibly make yourself vulnerable? Or you're a fool to be vulnerable, you'll just get stabbed in the back. And we spoke about, we have those concerns also, and we're careful to navigate it, but we also have really genuine relationships and love and friendships and family and connections, and wouldn't be in it if it meant we couldn't have that. And we feel very, very connected to that. So I agree with you. I don't know if that was generational. People of different ages were there who felt that way.
I
remember part of that. Yeah, sorry.
There is like a little bit of a generational piece in that I think once upon a time, people could attempt to put themselves on a pedestal. Meaning, like, in a world where you're inaccessible, like most of the time, you have office hours and a home line, and that's it.
Oh, that's so cute.
So, if you want to put yourself on a pedestal, then I suppose it's possible. I think today it's impossible. I don't think it's a human possible thing for any of us to put ourselves on that kind of pedestal, because by the nature of the world that we live in, like we are accessible. We're on social media. We're in Shul. We're on WhatsApp. Like, everybody has everybody's cell phone numbers, and the hardest thing is always like just managing how to be able to deal with the influx of everybody that feels like, I'm reaching out to you. I reach out to you for the first time, in a week, and how come you didn't write back right away? Because we are so accessible in a way that people, I think, were not so accessible before, which I think means by definition, people understand our vulnerabilities. Like, I always joke with like the guys at Shul that when you're with the same people on a regular basis, you see the same people every single day when you come to Minyan. So if you're having a bad day or they having a bad day, so that's visible. It's not an invisible thing that like nobody sees like into your life. Because maybe you could put the act on if that's all that you did. Like, you came out of your office for an hour for Shacharis and an hour for Mincha Mariv, and then the rest of the time you were behind closed doors. But like, especially in Zoom land today, so if I'm giving a shiur and I'm tired, like I get a WhatsApp from my mom being like, "How come you're tired?" Like, it's visible. Like everybody can see what's going on.
You can't hide anything. It's all on full display. Plus, being young. Yeah. Plus, being young, we're still young, by the way, for the record, in case anybody's asking. But no, your kids are in school with other people's kids. Those kids are in your home. So all rabbis were young at one point, but our memory, I think, of most of our rabbis was that their kids were already graduated or out of their house. And we think of our rabbis as more established in that age, as opposed to kids being overlapping in school and in time when it was safe, play dates and kids being in each other's homes. We got a ton of questions coming in, and they are fascinating. I'm going to skip right to one by Matthew Miller. The great Matthew Miller is also a big part of our team, and thank you to Matthew for all of the help that he gives us. He wants to know what are our go-to party tricks, but I'll rephrase the question. Rabbi Shabtai, Rebbetzin Shabtai, what is a website that you couldn't live without in the rabbinate? What is indispensable? And it could be a source of Torah, could be a source of general secular wisdom, could be a tool or a hack that helps you prepare source sheets. But what is a website that if you found out tomorrow that website's going to cost you $50,000 to get access to, you'd be in really big trouble?
Otzar Chachma. I get through IU. Boca is a huge community, but we're still officially out of town. So like, we have a lot of Sfarim, but not like, I lived in Washington Heights for 13 years. I was by the YU library every day. I'm used to having access, and you can access everything. It makes you feel like you can be part of everything. You have access to everything. That, and in all honesty, Rabbi Pinchas Friedman, Shvile Pinchas.
Wow.
Shvile Pinchas. He is my go-to guy for everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Another unpredictable fact about Rabbi Dr. Shabtai.
Oh, you have no idea.
Gush to Columbia to the Shvile Pinchas.
Oh, you have no idea. Shvile Pinchas all the way.
Let me just mention, as we've hit the hour and a half mark, that Behind the Bima is going to go back to being an hour. It's just these 2 weeks of our global campaign that we're doing telethon style. Have no fear. There were people who came up to me last week and they were like upset. Like, I stay up so late. I couldn't wake up the next morning. I was like, you can turn it off. You don't have to listen. It wasn't like we kept you at Kol Nidre longer than you had to be there. You don't have to listen. You can make it up the next day or not listen at all. So we will go back to our normal hour, but tonight we are going as long as you stay with us, and so many more interesting things to talk about. Again, I want to thank dailygiving.org. If you haven't gone on yet, go on dailygiving.org, become a member, and give credit to Behind the Bima and BRS, brsonline.org/global. Help us meet our campaign. The other rabbis and rebbetzins, what are the websites, the apps, the tools that help you in communal leadership that you could not live without? You'd be in trouble if they took away.
Google.
Google's a good one.
I love the OU's Daf Yomi app. Rabbi Rosner and Rabbi Resnick. You got the 1 hour version, and you got the 15-minute. If you're, it's Motzei Shabbos, you get the 15-minute Daf, which is great. And also, Apple Music. I don't think I could live without Apple Music right now. But those are the two.
CRC app. Everyone thinks I know everything about Hashkafas. I don't.
100%. Oh, I'm so with you. We cheat.
By the way, people don't realize that. We always talk about that. People text us Pesach Shilas all the time. And we're just looking at the app. We're like, you guys can do this also. We just do it more often so we know it better. But that's a good one. The CRC.
Everyone should download it. I almost had a heart attack the other day because the head of the CRC was a good friend of mine, sent me the draft, or maybe it's public now, and it wasn't even some inside thing, of the new CRC Pesach guidelines. It's not even Purim yet, and the Pesach guidelines, and it's just a reminder that those questions are about to come, which we love and we welcome because we want to help as much as we can. But you're also free to just go right to the CRC app, which might be another great resource.
Text us. It's fun.
Yeah, text us. It's a good way to be in touch. Rabbis and Moskowitz.
The CRC app is very
helpful.
Rabbis and Moskowitz, MD now. What's your website? I'm just joking.
Well, I was going to say, change the question a little bit. Not a website per se, but I think, especially during Corona, the way to keep in touch with people is a text, a WhatsApp. That's really been crucial because, because we can't see everyone. So I found that, a quick text, a quick call, a quick WhatsApp has been really helpful, helping me keep connected.
I'm actually loving the Zoom meetings. I know Zoom is used for everything, but even the WhatsApp video for some of the groups that we have for Shul, like our youth committee meetings, where they used to get together at like my dining room table to have meetings and
ping pong dining room table.
Thank you. Life hack. But has made it so much easier that all the women, even if their kids are like jumping on the app, we're still able to have our meeting and stuff. So I don't know if that's going to stay afterwards. Maybe we won't have our meetings in person or not, but WhatsApp video has been really helpful. You can do it as a group.
It's funny. We've been attempting to do the Monday morning staff meeting in person, I think for 2 months.
Right.
2 months. Every week, it's like, are we going to be doing it in person? It's like, nah, it's probably just easier to do it on Zoom.
It's too enticing, It's too enticing because of the comfort and the convenience. In your case, those of you who teach at a school not close, you have to come back to the campus in-person meeting. So that's this tension between the convenience and the comfort versus the energy of being in person that comes out from those meetings. Is there a tool, an app, a website, something that you couldn't live without?
I actually was going to say what Ariel said about WhatsApp and texting. I actually started a while ago a broadcast group on WhatsApp that just tries to get women to know about upcoming programs and classes, events, and everything. And I found that I would text on that group different programs, and then I would sometimes text people individually, and they would write back and say, is this just for me, or are you sending it to the whole broadcast group? And I realized that it just took away from me being able to personally text people because it got confused. So I switched it over now to a WhatsApp group that's not a broadcast group, and everyone knows that they're in it. And if anyone wants to join it, text me because I'm happy to put you on.
What kind of things do you put in that group?
I just try to, sometimes it's an inspirational thought. Most often it's an upcoming class that's special for women or a program that women I feel will appreciate. More lately, it's been like outside Zooms of different programs that are really, pertain to women that I feel like they might learn from it or appreciate, and just to try to notify everyone of what's out there, what's available, and if there's a boutique coming up or if there's a stuff in the community, just to get the women
feel
aware
connected.
of everything, and it's a way for me to be out there and connect also.
And actually, Yocheved inspired me because now I'm starting a Chesed Initiative WhatsApp group broadcast that Yocheved showed me how to do, which hopefully will share more to more people what's out there for people to get involved in.
Yeah,
That's
but don't
great.
forget, every time you need a Devar Torah, your favorite thing, Rabbi Efrem Goldberg. .org. That's it. Can't live without that one.
Tonight it's about the global campaign. We have broken $82,000, and we are on our way to our 100,000 mark. So again, thank you to everybody who's helpful. But I want to bring up this comment from our listener David Wolkin, who writes that he donated to Sefaria for the first time after using it every day for a year because of our last episode and what we spoke about, which is this phenomenon that there are all these free things that enrich our lives enormously, but because they're free, we assume there's someone else's problem. Let somebody else pay or support, and we therefore often neglect to do our part. But everybody, if you benefit and you enjoy something, you should contribute and do your part. And whether it's Sefaria or Wikipedia or YU Torah, or whether it's BRS, the Boca Raton Synagogue, brsonline.org/global, to do your part, we all can. I commented to Yocheved today, we have one of our married kids and our grandson in Israel, and our third daughter's in her year in Israel, and we have a daughter in New York. So we're sort of spread out a little bit, starting to be at that stage of life. But with WhatsApp video, you can have everybody on one screen, and you can be. And I said, we joked that when you go to Disney and they have the Carousel of Progress, it is so obsolete and outdated.
Spaceship Earth.
Oh, whatever it's called, Spaceship Earth.
But both, I guess. They show the future, and the future is like a few.
Right. They show the
years ago
future, which is like
already.
10 years ago's technology.
Yes, right.
So now you have this technology. So I said, we talk to our kids, Baruch Hashem, every day a lot. And in fact, usually we talk to them more once they get out of the house than when they live in it. We see them more and talk to them much more once they graduate the house than when they're in it. So I said, could you imagine if we had to pay for every one of these phone calls between America and Israel? Imagine if we had to bring in video conferencing systems and put in the technology and pay for and instead, for free, for nothing. I said, WhatsApp, what's the cost of it? Is that you have all my information? Big isn't it? It's a small price to pay as far as I'm concerned for the ability to video chat our grandson whenever we want, however long we want, 6,000 miles away for free, which a much better connection than some of us had tonight. It's really amazing. So all kinds of free things we benefit from, but we should express that appreciation for it. And I don't know how I would have been a rabbi without the internet, because just the information, the world is at your fingertips to look, to research, to find, to share, to post, both as a consumer and to be able to distribute and share. It's a great gift of living in this age.
I think about that often when I read Rabbi Lamb's old drushes, Rabbi Dr. Norman Lamb's old drushes. And what's amazing about them is not just the content and how relevant it was for that day and age, and really its timeless messages, but that he did it all without the internet, right? And it was when he was quoting the New York Times, like he actually sat there and read the New York Times. And when he quoted a source, it's because he knew that source. He couldn't go into Google and type it in Hebrew and show up the 150 places that it appears in all of the midrashim. So I'm enamored when I read his drushes, other rabbis from previous generations, and it's incredible what they were able to accomplish.
Yeah. Rabbi Dr. Shabtai, can you give us the 60-second elevator pitch for the book? What is the theme? Oh, go ahead. You're much better.
It's okay. You can hold
Hold it up. The new book, and if you give $180 while we're still going in the show, you will get a signed autographed copy. And if you give an even more amount, you'll get an autograph also by Rabbi Broide. And if you give even more, Simone will sign it too. So, Rabbi Shabtai, give us the 60-second quick version of summary of the book.
The main idea is that pretty much the more and more I learned about the Megillah is that I think that the main story of Purim, the main message of Purim, is to see the Yad Hashem in the world. That's the goal of Purim, not only the message that we are supposed to take from reading the story, but it was written specifically to show how the characters in the story themselves actually come to that realization, and things change in the story when they realize that. That's how the story changes, when they realize that they have the ability to be part of it. They see the Yad Hashem, they grab it, and then they can be part of it. And I think that's not only so we should learn from it, to see that they themselves did, and that's how they were saved.
You don't want to miss it. Get it while it's hot before they are all out of print. $180 gets you a copy, autographed, signed by the author himself, who happens to be here. What is your favorite, Rabbis and Rebbetzins, your favorite moment of the year as a Rabbi Rebbetzin? I don't mean your favorite moment of the year like I'm on vacation and finally I can, not have that be part of my identity. I mean within Shul life. It could be a holiday, it could be a shul dinner, could be a gathering, could be a event. What's your favorite annual moment of the year as a Rebbetzin or one of the Rabbanim you look forward to, you count down towards?
I'll take that first while everyone else thinks.
Oh, you go first.
Ne'ilah, for sure Ne'ilah. There's nothing like Ne'ilah. There's an experience, there's an energy in the room, a passion in the room. I love seeing people who might not have been to the davening all throughout the Yom Noraim, and by Ne'ilah, they're in it, their eyes are closed, and you've done something to touch their heart and to uplift their soul, and they're finally ready to have that conversation with Hashem. And, you know, when we look out at that, to me, that's everything right there.
Ne'ilah's good.
I have an answer, but yeah, and probably not going to expect this one. When we first moved here, and we went to our first Hodu Bowl. Now, I can't really follow the game, the football game. However, I was just enamored that every aspect of, you know, every different community in Boca, every school, every shul, everyone in Boca comes together for a good fun, and just really, it's a feel good community event. You can explain what the Hodu Bowl is, a Thanksgiving Boca party.
Flag football tournament.
Yes. So
I was not expecting that.
I know, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Flag football tournament. Let me just say, it started several years ago. I think before anyone but Rabbi Brody was here, but he'd never heard of what football is. Still has no idea what it is. But none of you were living here yet. The men's club for fun. Thanksgiving morning, people were off from work. We always have learning, yamiyu and shiurim. But a flag football tournament. I played in the first few seasons. It was fun. It was just very casual, and it became so competitive. They rent enormous fields. People fly in, sponsored uniforms, referees, sponsored food. We have
and
the
you couldn't
young
walk
kids.
for days afterwards. Remember that? You couldn't walk for days afterwards.
Yes.
Your hamstrings were killing. All the weekend
People
warriors
stacked
would
their
come into
teams.
Shul that Shabbos. All the weekend warriors would come into Shul that Shabbos, and we'd be limping, and our arms would be hurting.
The flag football tournament. In fact, one year, Rabbi Lord Sachs, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, was in our community that weekend, and he did the coin toss to start the Hodu Bowl. One of the great memories of his visits to our community. Rabbis Goldberg, what is your highlight? What is the moment you look forward and count down towards?
Could I give a few answers?
Wow.
Just to give everyone the width and breadth of our community to
Yeah,
really
but just
make them.
make sure you leave some for
I
the
don't,
others.
I think there are other. I don't think anyone's going to think of these. Okay, the first one that came to my mind is the Chasanim on Simchas Torah. I don't know about you, but every time that in our shul, they do the most beautiful tribute. They pick four, men in the community, sometimes rabbis, sometimes, gabbis, anyone who's made contributions to the community or is just a really good guy. And it's like their bar mitzvah. They're giving them a whole speech and it's beautiful. And it's very emotional. Lifting on they put the chuppah over them and they're carrying them over to the Bima. It's just, I always find it to be extreme. I've often cried. I think it's just so moving. And their wife is in the women's section and he always talks about the wives, the Ishes Chayil, the, backbone of, the fair. It's always very, very beautiful to me. Every year I look forward to that.
Number one.
That's number one. Number two.
I love that time also, by the way.
Yeah, it's a great time. The number two, something that was recent that I'm really going to miss this year, is the Rabbi's Purim spiel. Our community.
We're doing it.
Oh, you are doing it?
We're doing it. Rabbi Brody,
Okay.
tell them when we're doing it.
We're doing it. We're doing the whole thing.
Oh, I didn't know. You heard it here
Rabbi
first.
Brody, do you know that we're doing it?
No, I had no idea we're doing it.
Are we
I was
doing
just
the
going along with you.
Vishinanta, we're doing that Vishinanta.
Oh, we are? This year we're doing a
Yeah.
special Vishinantam Purim spiel at Vishinantam.
Outdoors Purim night, Purim play.
8:15
The
p.m.
reason why I bring it
Rabbi
up
Goldberg,
is
you need the
because-
breaking news thing for that.
No, please don't. Please
Do it.
Please don't. Here's why I think that that's very special, and I think it's important for our listeners to hear this from all around the globe, because when you talk about this campaign and you talk about what the personalities of BRS do and what they contribute to the lives of everyone, there's something very special about this group of rabbis who take time on Purim, which is a holiday that they very much want to spend time in their kitchens and, with their buddies and, doing their Purim thing.
Oh,
and
kitchens.
with
I've never been on the kitchen
mashka, But what they do is they're in shul and all families come and kids love it and they put on such a creative and entertaining show and they're so funny and they always use current events and it's just something that the community, I think they look at these rabbis like they're not just teaching Torah, they're not just, but they want to make it fun for us and they just put themselves out there in such an entertaining way. And I always think that's really beautiful.
We're entertained, and apparently Yocheved is. I'm not sure how many others
The
are.
third thing, and then I'm going to let everyone else
The kids
speak.
enjoy it.
The third event, and again, this shows you how much BRS offers and what this community means to everyone, is the fact that they every year have had a Yom HaShoah program. And at this Yom HaShoah program, it's always extremely meaningful. They always find programs that are going to be very impactful and very inspiring, and to make us really understand the loss and what the Holocaust meant to all of us. But they also have this candle lighting ceremony where they have survivors light the 6 candles, and then they have survivors' children go up and light the next candles, and they have survivors' grandchildren go up and light the next candles, and everyone in the family feels such a part of remembering the Holocaust and learning about the Holocaust, and it's a very, very emotional time. And I personally feel that that's what community is about, to remember who we are as a people, what we've been through, and what we can learn from it. And every year the Yom HaShoah program is so inspirational and beautiful.
That is a highlight. And,
so those are my 3. And there are a ton more, but that's what I could think
continue
of.
to have
now.
the survivors. Before we hear the others, just in. Howard Tzvi Goldfisher, BRS, miss you guys. Nice to see you. A lifetime ago. Former youth director, founder of Vishinanta, the real founder, Brody.
We started the founding seasons again, after he left, but he was the real founder.
Wow, it's good. It's good to hear from him. And everybody continue. Thank you so much. The support is coming in. We are beyond grateful for your partnership, for your support, for your love. Go to dailygiving.org throughout the year to give. Join us in our global campaign tonight. Who hasn't gone? Highlight of the year, countdown, favorite moment, goosebump moment of the year. Rabbi Brody.
Well, definitely Vishinantam is something we look forward to every year. It's the longest running program we've ever had in the Shul, and it keeps on going. But I love looking forward to the high holidays. I love doing.
Wait, what is it? What is Vishinantam?
Vishinantam is our family learning program, which is, I would say, probably 8 and under, 0 to 8. We have kids that come like they're maybe a day or two old, up until 8 years old. And this past year we did it outside. It was great on the lawn, front lawn. And we're singing, there's learning. We do a lot of fun things. Lots of prizes.
We got the Vishinantam for the young kids. Then we got Avos Banim and Mother Daughter.
Banim. That's a.
Did you have anyone? You have anyone crash? Did you have a bomber at the Vishinantam this year?
Yeah, we did. It was amazing. You have this incredible singer who was a guest on Behind the Bima, Simcha Leiner. All of a sudden, he's jogging around the circle and he's videotaping himself. He's like he's streaming his jog or something. All of a sudden, he's like, I hear some incredible music. What's going on over there? I hear all these children singing. Next thing you know, he comes and he starts singing for all the kids and their families. It was a really, really special moment.
That's great.
And we will be back with season 22. Actually, it works out that the first night, I guess that's the first Shabbos in December, is actually going to be Hanukkah this year. So we're going to be season 22, opening night, Shabbos Hanukkah.
Amazing. Simone, you have a highlight? Top moment of the year?
You said all the good ones. You're not supposed to put me on the spot, remember?
Never mind. Sorry. I meant Rabbi Shabtai. What is your highlight of the year? Is it the Hilula, the Mamunah, the Lag BaOmer bonfire? What is it?
Monica wants to go. Go ahead.
No, so actually, I guess I'm learning from Yocheved. I have 2. So the first one is the first night of Slichot. It's the coolest thing. It's usually at like 5 a.m, and everyone comes out of the woodworks. They're men without kippahs, tank tops, men with hats on. Everyone comes out of the woodworks for that first night of Slichot at 5 a.m, and they're screaming and they're loud and they're enthusiastic and they're drinking coffee and tea, and it's incredible. Very inspiring. And even though this year I did it on Zoom, and one of my kids was actually awake at that hour for some reason, so he was with me, but it's incredible, and it sort of, like, before we go into the Yom Tov season, reminds us of why we do this. And the second one is, I always love the Sisterhood Elul program. It's always amazing. They always find incredible speakers. This year they did the cooking show. I always feel like it's a really busy time of year with school starting and Shul starting up, and they always do a great job of, like, putting us back in perspective and reminding us of, like, and I love that program.
Well, now that I know I can wear a tank top to your Slichos program, I'll be there.
You won't be the only one. You won't be the only one.
I won't be the only one.
No. There's a thing. All Sephardim no slicha. Like, doesn't matter where you're from. Like, everyone, it's the same tunes. So one of my favorites is by also Ne'ilah, because the Sephardic practice is during Yom Kippur, we say slichot after every davening. So Ashkenazim do it after Mariv and after Ne'ilah. We do it after Ma'ariv, Shachrit, Musaf, Mincha, Ne'ilah, and it's the same thing over and over and over. It's the same tune, so everyone is really, really into it by Ne'ilah. I think it's also one of the most terrifying moments of the year, like getting up before Ne'ilah to inspire people about like life. Like, this is it. This is really, really counts. This year was more terrifying, I found, just because there was a lot to reflect on. And one more uplifting, also holiday related, is Kol Na'arim. It's not necessarily Sephardic practice, but the whole shul gets together. All the minyanim in the shul come together for Musaf of Simchas Torah, and we do Kol Na'arim with some Guinness World Record, talis, right. And there are like 800 kids under there. And,
biggest talis in the whole world.
And I always give a speech before, and I said, even if you don't have kids, even if you think this is silly, just look at the future of the Jewish people, because they're all sitting in front of you, and they're just 800 more kids just sitting there and singing Hamalach HaGoel, and it always brings me to tears, and I think it's just a wonderful.
Yeah, I just want to comment on that. First of all, thank you for raising it. These are all amazing moments, and Blumenthal, we'll get to you in 1 second. But one of the things we do with that Kol Na'arim, we realized several years ago that it's one of the hardest days of the year for people struggling with infertility. Women in general don't love Simchas Torah. We try to be a much more women-friendly, accommodating, and inviting to have activity and partnership on Simchas Torah. But in particular, if somebody doesn't have children and wants them, Simchas Torah is not just a difficult day, it's a torturous, painful day. So we collect names in advance. We don't publicize them, obviously, just the rabbis have them. And we read a special tefillah, special prayer before Kol Na'arim. So those 800 young kids are sitting under a world record, literally, and I use literally, Shul Cynic intentionally. You can Google. We have the Guinness World Record talus. I don't remember the dimensions. But 800 kids are underneath it. And before we sing Hamalach, before that Kol Na'arim Aliyah, we say a tefillah, we say a prayer for all those. And I'll tell you, it's a highlight for me. Several times people have emailed. Unfortunately, tragically, it breaks my heart, and you know this because I shared the names just with the rabbis, the Hebrew names. There's no shortage. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of names that come in not just locally, they come from elsewhere, because people obviously will want as many davening for them as they can. And occasionally, I wish it were more, there'll be an email at some point during that year or the next that says, I gave you my name to daven, I want to let you know I just had a child. And it brings tears to your eyes. I'll actually take this moment to just mention that next week there is a Jewish Fertility Support Summit, the 2021 Jewish Family Support Summit. It's taking place on February 22nd, 8 to 9:30 p.m., free virtual event. Every Jewish organization involved in fertility is involved in this. From all the segments of the Jewish community and the Jewish world, experts, amazing speeches. It really looks like a really beautiful program. Anyone who could benefit from it should check it out. You can Google it. It's being hosted by iwassupposedtohaveababy.org. Just the name of that organization itself evokes the pain of that experience. iwassupposedtohaveababy.org. The 2021 Jewish Support Summit. It's next week. It looks really, really extraordinary, and you don't want to miss it. So that is definitely one of the highlight moments. Also, before we go to the Blumenthals, because I love my
Robbins
wife,
from Friday Night Live.
That's right. Rabbi Brody has pulled ahead by $32.
Friday Night Live represent.
Paula and Warren Robbins, in honor of Paula Robbins, have contributed generously $500, moving Rabbi Brody ahead of Rabbi Moskowitz by a whopping $32. They will be getting their autographed book.
And actually, in honor of Paula and Warren Robbins, they were one of the founders of our Friday Night Live. Started an explanatory. Like a explanatory color high holiday minyan, and it actually used to be in our shul. It got to be so big. Paul and Warren were one of the first couples that came to it, and now it's not even in the shul. We moved to BRS West, and that's how we got to know the BRS West community. And it's one of my highlights. Definitely,
that is a great highlight. Our fact checker has provided me with the dimensions. 1,471.74 square feet is our talus. 40 feet by 40 feet. It's made up of 49 extra large talesim woven together. It is 40 feet by 40 feet, 1,471 square feet, Guinness World Record talus. And we daven for those who want to have a child, not only on Simchas Torah, but all throughout the year. In fact, I have the papers that have all that list of names. I stick it in my talus bag because I try to think about them all throughout the year. And I would love to hear more and more good news. But those who don't yet have that good news, check out that summit. It looks like it's really fantastic. Blumenthal's out in BRS West, B'Marava. Tell us out in Marava in the West, what are the highlight of the year for the two of you?
I really like some Torah, and you keep saying that women don't like it, and I'm like, I do. So it's really fun over here. It's crazy how it's obviously grown in our community a lot, so it's gotten bigger and bigger. My favorite is, I feel like every hakafa over here kind of has a theme, and the fifth hakafa, usually that's when my husband kind of slows everything down, kind of brings all the kids into the middle. We sort of sing Hamalach all together, and it's really beautiful. It's really nice. And like some people, well, pre-corona, put their arms around each other, and like the whole shul kind of has a little kumzitz moment amidst all this craziness. And I love it. That's a time I love to reflect on and look around and see where our shul is building to, where it's going. And I like to store that in my mind every year, except last year, of course. But, hopefully again, we'll be able to do that soon.
Amen. That's a beautiful image. Rabbi Rael.
So I'll tell you, Ne'ilah is always a highlight. But in the last couple of years, I'll share two things. I found myself doing this, really, I think the last 3 or 4 years, after Ne'ilah, after everybody goes home, after everybody has broken their fast, I come back to Shul. And I sit in Shul. The lights are already off. Like everybody's like out of there. The machzorim are back on the shelves. And I come back to Shul after, like, once everything is done. It's the greatest feeling in the whole world because it still feels like the room is reverberating. And that's something that, like, that Ne'ilah gives me koach for the year, but like that moment gives me koach for like all the parts of the year that like you didn't even think about in Ne'ilah. So that's on a, I don't know how personally revealing we're supposed to be, but personally,
apparently we're very.
That's something that gives me a tremendous amount of strength. That's on a very personal level. On a communal level, and you're gonna laugh, but my favorite moment, the whole year, is Shabbos Kiddush.
Oh.
And we do. I mean, we've been sort of certainly pre-corona. We were makpid on doing some kind of shul kiddush, something. And as the shul grew, and we had to like figure out, how to scale up kiddush without it becoming unaffordable for people. I remember this conversation that I had with a couple of the lay leaders at BRS West, where they're like, "We got to figure out a budget for kiddush because like it's going to be too expensive." And I was like, "I don't care, as long as there is a revius of grape juice and crackers for people to make a mazonas, we're going to have a kiddush every single week because kiddush is where community happens." And it's an amazing thing. You see people that like, people come to shul, they make it to shul, they don't make it to shul, they come on time and they don't come on time. The kids are running in and disturbing them, or they're not. And these are all the flashback memories from before we were 6 feet apart and wearing masks. But for like a moment, there's like the whole shul is, davening's finished and people get to like actually shmooze, and they're supposed to, and nobody has to shush anybody, and nobody has to, nobody's being disturbed. And at that moment, a shul we call a beis knesses, which literally means like a place for people to get together. And that getting together aspect on a Shabbos it's the thing that gives me the most simcha and the most chizuk for the week ahead. And you connect with people. You get to connect with people. It's the time, I tell Elise all the time, Shabbos Kiddush is the time that I feel most why I want to be a rabbi. Like it's that moment of just being with the community, like being with Klal Yisrael, being with Chevra. It's the greatest thing in the world. And, I think that's the thing that I probably miss the most.
That's what makes you a very special Rav, a very special Rabbi Rael, because most rabbis are like, that is the least favorite moment of the week. I do everything I can to sneak out and avoid it. All you do is meet people who, while they're chewing, they're spitting on you, while they're complaining about something they didn't make a meeting for. That's what makes you so very...
He loves Kiddush and talking to people.
I feel exactly the same way as Rabbi.
Have you ever been to a Kiddush?
I feel exactly the same way.
And
Goldberg, what's your favorite memory?
I'm not eating with kugel anymore.
Oh.
That's true. Now you're there, Lishma, Mamash Lishma. This just in, Rabbi Brody has pulled out of Rabbi Moskowitz by over $200. Rabbi Moskowitz's friends, where are you? You must catch up and bring Rabbi Moskowitz not only back.
My friends are asleep right now.
By the way, even if you don't like Rabbi Moskowitz, the world loves Rabbis and Moskowitz. Rabbis and Moskowitz's friends, patients.
We're all her patients.
Yeah,
we're
the patients
who get free medical care when they're coming over our house at all hours of the night.
Yeah, exactly.
It's time to cough it up. We have cleared 83,000. We're on our way to our goal of 100,000. Thank you all so much. My favorite moment of the year is singing Haneris Halalu after lighting the Hanukkah candles in Shul. Just joking. It is my least favorite moment.
No, your
of the
favorite
whole
moment is
entire
counting
year.
Sphira every night in Shul.
Also, least favorite moment. We have those lists of what are the least favorite moments.
Calling out the Rosh Chodesh.
I hate the pressure. Right, those are probably the three least favorite things. Trying to lead the Shul on Haneris Halalu after lighting the Hanukkah licht in Shul. Number 2 would be calling out the Molad and trying to translate it from the Yiddish, because for some reason the Ezra's Torah Luach in Hebrew and English, and every Luach still thinks that the Molad has to be communicated in Yiddish. And what was the third thing?
Sphira.
Sphira and Sphira Somer, that pressure. Yeah, those are not 3 of my favorite moments, but I will follow Rabbi Blumenthal's lead and give you one that you wouldn't predict. And of course, Ne'ilah, kicking off Ne'ilah is huge. I also love, not at 5 a.m., but Slichos night. We always say Slichos will begin at 1 a.m., but Chatzos is never till like 1:12, 1:14, 1:16. We speak beforehand, and it's like speaking to a dead room. People have like stumbled into the room, they're falling on their face, they're passing out, and you start Slichos, that first Kaddish, the room comes alive, and there's something very special about seeing that transformation happen. But that's also not it. I would say my favorite moment is... And I will not get emotional, even though I'm going to speak about my daughter who's in Israel for the year, who I miss terribly. But every year after doing B'dikas Chametz at home, and I follow one of my Rebbeim, Rabbi Neuberger, and others who do a real B'dikas Chametz. Not some like, just got home from work, hungry for dinner, make a bracha, be done in 7 seconds. But I mean room by room, pockets, dresser drawers, do a real B'dikas Chametz. Afterwards, I always go to Shul, because there's a halachic responsibility. Somebody's got to do B'dikas Chametz in Shul, and I feel that responsibility. Shul's dark, it's closed down, it's closed for the night, everybody's at home, B'dikas Chametz, the night before Pesach, and I go with one of my daughters, and we walk the entire campus. Now, mind you, we had walked it that afternoon with our amazing custodians, and made sure that it was all ready, but you still have to do B'dikas Chametz that night. We still walk around. And again, that same, you could describe it as an eeriness, but not in a negative sense. There's an energy, there's a vibrant, there's a life, there's a heartbeat to the shul even when no one's in it. And when you go that Erev Pesach and you do that B'dika and you're connecting and you feel that love, and it's very personal, private, I guess until now, you don't announce it, nobody knows about it, and that is a very, very special moment, in addition to the ones that were mentioned until now. That is definitely one of the highlights as well. And the new members event. Go ahead, you could go for number 4. I'm passing
hogging the mic
I
here.
yield to the lady from Lawrence.
First of all, apparently this
Yield
just
my time.
in. You guys said I look like this gangster, right? Henry Hill. Apparently, someone just texted me. He was married to a girl from Lawrence, New York. There you have it.
You are the same.
That's why.
Yeah,
One
what's
second,
going
has
on
anyone
right
ever
now?
seen Rabbi Moskowitz and Henry Hill in the same room at the same time?
The same Zoom?
Same Zoom. In the same Zoom at the same time. Zoom,
No, but how are your
Gali,
AirPods
Gali.
so much better than mine?
I feel like they're holding on for dear life.
I think.
How
Did
did
yours grow wires?
I took mine from my brother-in-law, but I don't know, they went out already.
His phone
no
never
idea.
dies either. Nothing ever. He just.
Rabbi Shabtai, Rabbis and Rebbetzins, is there something in the Sephardic tradition that stands out so different than the Ashkenazim? Is there something in the calendar, in the liturgy, in the Nusach, in the halacha?
Well, yes.
Shlomi Lugassi.
Everything. We're thinking about our good friend Shlomi sitting Shiva tonight, and we love him. We're thinking about, you talk about community, Shlomi is community. He's Sephardi, he's Moroccan, proud Moroccan, but we've all been rotating, being at covering Mincha at his house. I don't think I'm exaggerating. There are hundreds of people there from every walk of life, and it's like attending the New York car show in front of his house. And Shlomi is that magnetic personality who unites everybody. So that's the beauty of this community. You might go to the Sephardic minyan, but you know everybody. It's not divided by minyanim and so on. It's all one big team. But I'll tell you why I'm asking. I'll give you the example. Is I've had Sephardim tell me they daven with the Ashkenazim all year round, but they go to the Sephardim on the Yom Noraim on the high holidays, because they say the Ashkenazi is it's like a death liturgy, sad, and you guys are singing and happy and festive.
So I happen to like Ashkenazi Yamim Noraim. I'm not opposed. I happen to like it very much, but it's so different. There's an energy. Sfardim want to come to Slichot. Like I said, people want to wake up. We do Slichot at 5:30 every day for a month, and people come. People want to come. They want to be there. I have people who. It's strange. They'll come for Slichot, but they don't stay for Shachrit, which is a little bit strange because that's not the right priority system. But they only come for Slichot. That's what they do. There's an energy to getting ready for Yamim Noraim, and otherwise Elul sort of doesn't have that energy. Elul is supposed to be a preparation time, and this really gets you pumped every morning. And Slichot takes 50 minutes to an hour every day. And it's the same thing.
Is it worth the kitnios?
You could have your
kitnios or not worth the
kitnios.
kitnios?
So you have to realize half the minyan doesn't eat kitniot. Moroccans don't eat kitniot on Pesach. Half our minyan doesn't eat kitniot. But they have plenty of good food, so it's okay. I'm egalitarian when it comes to food. If it tastes good, I eat it.
How do they spell mincha?
Sorry?
How do they spell mincha?
Mem nun het hey.
There you go. By the way, our fact checker has weighed in. The fact checker has reminded me. The first night I complained, getting it right each night of Sfira is a lot of pressure on the rabbi. You triple check in your mind if it's the right night. So our fact checker has reminded me that the first night as a rabbi in Shul, I counted Sfira last year, the Shul was at number 47. If you remember, the Shul had been shut down. So the first night that we had minyan and counted the Sfira was at number 42nd, which is pretty insane. Monica, Rabbis and Rebbetzins, anything jump out to you as the difference? Having grown up Ashkenazi, but then exposed to Sephardi, and now a Sephardi Rabbanit, anything jump out to you as being so different?
So again, Yom Noraim are most different, and I personally, after davening Sephardi, and especially always my stepfather was the Chazan, so I loved it, and then for a couple of years when we wanted to daven in yeshiva, we davened Ashkenazi, and I personally never got used to it. It sounded like it's long, schleppy, I guess Yom Noraim, so you should be crying, but I never, also again, I love YU, but it was 7 hours for Rosh Hashanah. So I was very happy to come back to a Sephardi Yom Noraim.
Nice, interesting.
I remember my dad once came to visit us Rosh Hashanah, and I told him to bring a book. He's like, Lama. So takes an hour. So he brought Isha Halacha in Hebrew because he's Israeli, so he reads it. And all these guys are looking wow. It was very impressive.
I saw your dad today, and I asked him when he's going to teach his sons to dress like him. He's the best dressed guy in town. He told me he's skipping the sons. He's going right to the grandchildren.
Some of our kids dress like him, so
exactly.
Okay.
He's going right to the grandchildren.
I'm okay with that.
Best dressed rabbi. All right, what are the questions on our listeners' minds? First of all, if you're listening to this podcast on whatever podcast player, don't forget to rate and review so that more and more people can listen and hear. One of our listeners, David Eisen, wants to know, can you make a bracha on that talis? And he spells bracha the way that would make Rabbi Shabtai very happy. So the answer is, if you're Og Melech HaBashan or maybe Amari Stoudemire can make a bracha on that talis, but I don't think anybody else can. Otherwise, it is a sort of symbolic talis with tzitzis on the corners, but 40 by 40, it is pretty large and in charge. Other questions, things people want to know in the Brs Global community, which, what are we up to with 644 members of the global community? Really, really outstanding. Other questions.
I love Mordechai Weinschneider's comment. You guys are still on? He turned it off. He came back. He turned it off. We're still on.
Yeah, one of our Ari Malowitsky wants to know, Rabbi Shabtai, you mentioned that in medical school you realized that you didn't want to continue in medicine and made a lane change, pivoted. But what was it about medicine specifically that made you realize that you didn't want to? We know that maybe one of your siblings has some trouble with blood or, they couldn't handle that. But you could. So what made you change lanes?
So I really liked the discovery aspect in medicine, about learning about the new treatments, learning about, the diagnosis, trying to figure things out. The day-to-day taking care didn't speak to me. And as I was doing my third year in rotations and realized that more and more of the day-to-day, and it may not be true in every specialty, but didn't speak to me and I wasn't getting as much out of it. I enjoyed much more the bioethics. I enjoyed much more thinking about the challenging issues that are involved in it. And I remember speaking to many doctors at the time and many rabbanim about, does it make sense to do a residency or not if I want to do more bioethics, medical halacha? And all the rabbanim were like, I think you should do a residency because how are you going to know? And all the doctors said, why are you doing a residency? Why would you bother doing a residency? If that's not if that's not what you really want to do. And so I was more interested in those larger issues, and so I figured that it wasn't for me to practice, and I didn't think it would be fair to my patients to be not so enthusiastic doctor about what I was doing.
Nice. Rabbis and Moskowitz, what's the most adventurous thing you've ever done in your life?
Marry me.
Picked up and moved to Boca without really knowing the community and not really deciding in 1 week.
Yeah, when we got married, Ariel was not leaving the tri-state area. That was very clear. And I was leaving the tri-state area. So Boca was like a good compromise because it was New York-y enough, but not too New York-y. It was kind of a nice middle of the road.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say you're from New York.
I don't know about adventurous, but one of the kind of craziest ideas that I've had that I thankfully actually went through is going back to school in my late 30s, once I had kids and married and things going on and kind of shifting careers. That was pretty crazy.
That is good. That is adventurous. I
haven't gotten skydiving like the Goldbergs, but not as exciting.
I have gone skydiving. Now our daughter that's in Israel for the year wants to know when she can go. It's become part of the family Masorah to go skydiving. Seeing Eretz Yisrael from 12,000 feet while you're falling towards it at 100 miles an hour, it's fantastic. There's no better way to see it.
It's not like nurse practitioner school, though.
Definitely not as fun.
Not nearly
Not as fun.
I'm just saying it wasn't easy being the spouse when she was in school either.
That's true.
I'm just saying you could look out the window of an airplane and see the same thing.
It's not the same.
Scared of heights.
Not the same. Rabbi Brody, for somebody who loves to go to concerts, you could also listen on the computer, but it's not the same thing.
You're right. It's not the same thing, but you know what? I'm not jumping out of an airplane. I can tell you right now. I've seen how slow you drive. There's no way you're jumping out.
Neither am I. That's right up there with winning the lottery on my list.
I want you to. We went to an amusement park with the little guys, with Eitan, who's 6, and he's already, he's excited to go on like these what you would consider a kid's roller coaster. I went with him, and I was panicking. I was like, "This is not for me. I'm too old."
Although Josh did do a zip line, that was like exciting for him.
No, good.
Yeah, it's after they buckle you in, harness you like 15 different locks. It took 20 minutes.
Anybody else have something adventurous they've done that people would not predict or guess about them?
I'm just saying I got a $1 donation right now. I'm $1 closer to catching up to Rabbi Brody. There's a person who likes me enough out there to give $1 my name. But here's the deal. If 200 people right now all give $1, I'm caught up to Rabbi Brody.
Rabbi Moskowitz
got confused. They thought there was dailygiving.org.
I'll take every dollar I can get to catch up to Rabbi Brody.
So another question that came in, actually privately, somebody just texted me, and they want to know, at any point in your rabbinic career, Rabbis Rebbetzins, as a unit, as a couple, because it's a group decision, it's a couple, you have to function as a unit. At any way, through smicha and on the way up, did you think about walking away? Did you consider another profession, career change? Have you considered walking away? And why didn't you? Why'd you stick with it?
Yeah. There was a point once. I remember I spoke about it at Shul. It happened, I don't know if it was 2007, 2009. I don't know, one of the marches. I came back. I was really disappointed in something that happened.
That speech.
Yeah.
That was a shallow shit.
I think that's when we started the outreach program as a, it's either you try to help the problem or you leave. And I decided to stay. But for about 2 days, it was a real consideration. I remember Simone said to me, she's like, "What will I tell our friends?" She's like,
"What would you have done?"
Okay, she's dealing with the kids right now. Apparently, they're just.
I was going to say, do all of you know where your kids are right now?
Nope.
Rabbi Brody, what would you have done if you walked away?
What would I have done? I don't know. What would I have done? Remember that time we're living in the Muse? I came back from the march.
What was your question? What would he have done instead of being a rabbi?
Yeah, left.
Yeah, no, if at any time considered walking away, just we're frustrated, wasn't for us, at any time did you think about walking away?
$1.50 just came in for me now.
I don't know. At the end of the day,
$2.50 closer.
They just keep them going.
I'm telling you, 198 left, and I'm at
Hey
Rabbi
now.
Brody. I definitely have 200 friends out there. They're each going to give $1 over the, and then Rabbi Goldberg. Can we agree? You'll wrap it up if 200 people each give $1.
Done. Yes, but not until then. So what would you have done, Rabbi Brody? Where would you have gone?
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I think I actually, just thinking about it right now, I think I probably would still be doing exactly the same thing, even if I wasn't a rabbi. So even if I never got smicha, I kind of would have found this type of work. And even if I gave up the smicha, I still would be doing the same type of work. The job that we have is not
not traditional.
It's not traditional. It's not something we applied for. It kind of just evolved.
You work at Federation. You run a philanthropic foundation. You're the outreach rabbi of the Boca Raton Synagogue and its global community. So and then you do the momentum trips.
Yeah, and we have a whole plan of where we hope to take this, and as we emerge from Corona, we have some exciting plans, and what the next couple of years is going to look like. So you will hear it first on Behind the Bima. Not ready yet.
Let me rephrase the question to the others. If you didn't go into the Rabbanos, what would you have likely been? What would you likely be doing? Rabbi Blumenthal, Elisa, Rebbetzin, what would you be doing?
Elisa likes to say that if I didn't become a rabbi, I would have been a cult leader.
Oh, I do say it all the time. I believe it.
But
I just see you like on a keg stand somewhere, and everyone's like, "Go, go, go," and then they would follow you everywhere or something.
So that didn't happen.
No.
At least, well, I guess this time.
Maybe that's what we're doing.
Maybe. But the truth is, I was always a weird kid. I wanted to be a rabbi. I don't know. Maybe that's like a strange thing, but it was something that I wanted to do. I majored in computer science because I enjoyed doing that as well, but I never wanted to do that as a profession. But this is what I wanted to do. And when we got married, it was kind of like, okay, I guess this is what we both want to do. So that works out. It's hard to say that, what would I have done? What could I have done? I don't know. It just, this was the thing that made sense.
Well, we're happy you're in Boca Raton, not Waco, Texas. That works out much better for us.
Yeah, we're happy about that too.
Not drinking any Kool-Aid or anything. We got
Yeah, we're grateful for that. We know what Rabbi Shabtai would have done because he almost did it. Rabbi Moskowitz, what would you have done if you didn't become a Rav?
Well, growing up, I always wanted to be in finance. Again, when I was much younger, my dream was always to go to Wharton. My parents went to Penn. Everything in my house growing up was always Penn, so I wanted to go to Wharton growing up. At a certain point, that switched to wanting to help people. So I think if I wasn't a rabbi, I agree with Rabbi Brody. Like I would have been doing either psychology, social work. There was a long period of time I really wanted to be a middle school Rebbe. I always loved teaching middle school kids. I liked it. High school, I felt like they had a little bit more edge, attitude. Younger, I felt it was a little harder to connect to. Like that 6th, 7th, and 8th grade zone. I always did in camp, and I really liked that group. So that was probably the trajectory I was on before getting pulled over to the rabbinate. And the truth is, I still love that age group. I happen to have a son that age, and now I'm seeing some of the challenges of that age group. But it's still a great age. So like Rabbi Brody said, like I'd still be doing a lot of what I would be doing, whether it be psychology, whether it be social work, helping people in some way. And I just do it as a rabbi now, where I get to also help them spiritually.
Well, we've got one of the world's outstanding middle school rebbeim, Rabbi Pesach Sommer, is commenting. Teaching middle school is awesome, and if you follow him on social media, you know his passion for it. He's regularly sharing it, and it's really it's amazing. I probably would have been an entrepreneur. I love business. I don't come from a family of rabbis. I wasn't on track to be a rabbi, and I probably would have been in business in some capacity. And part of why I love the Rabbanos is because I think it provides the opportunity for entrepreneurship within Jewish communal leadership. So it gives the opportunity for us to bring this creativity, this ambition, these goals, marketing, branding, negotiations, conflict resolution, all the aspects that go into entrepreneurship and business we get to do, and we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun doing it. So
I am $9 behind Rabbi Brody right now. I'm not. Henry Hill made a donation in my honor, right? I don't even know what the good fellas are. Henry Hill made a donation in my honor.
John Gotti made a donation.
I
in
am
his
not.
honor.
First of all, if Pop Sugarman's listening, I would love a $9 donation from Pop Sugarman to tie me up.
Second, Schoenfeld's. Schoenfeld's donated $198 for you.
That's right.
Can't have
That's
a
right.
vegetarian beating you.
Oh, we missed them.
That is a lot
One
of
second,
love.
Rabbi
We're gonna
Goldberg,
miss
did
them
your-
at Purim students here.
Did your parents ever try to persuade you not to go into Rabbanus because they were very successful in the worlds that they were in, and obviously your brother's a very, very successful doctor? And
Good question.
That is a great question, and remarkably, no, they never hesitated. They never paused.
You had a plan.
Yeah, I mean, they knew
there was
that
never a conversation like, hey, maybe you should consider something else.
There wasn't. I'll tell you the truth. I don't come from Rabbanim, my great uncles, but I don't come from Rabbanim directly. But my family was very committed to education, and my
Nice.
mother was in adult education, Holocaust education,
Sam
and
Abel.
my grandfather was superintendent of
Your mom
school
was my
system of
teacher.
Elizabeth, New Jersey. Right, my mother was Simone's teacher, taught her everything she knew about the Holocaust. Wanted to know about the Holocaust. So they valued the notion of being. And I thought, remember, when I got married, I thought I was going to be in chinuch. When I came to
Right.
Boca. When I was in the
What at
Boca Raton
Yeshiva High
Kollel,
School.
the last version of the Kollel, I thought I was going to be in chinuch, and thank God Yocheved talked me out of it. I wouldn't have lasted 1 week in chinuch. I have such respect, Rabbi Shabtai, Rabbi Blumenthal. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. Our Mechanchim deserve such respect and credit and raises because the perseverance, the endurance that it takes, the patience, the commitment, the passion, sustained. We give one class, as adults, you give a class at a time to a group of interested people who require no discipline, who are self-motivated to be there, and to compare that to giving, how many classes do you average teaching a day? It's just amazing. Amazing.
You know what else is amazing?
I'll
I
say something
am
that-
now ahead of Rabbi Brody.
Are you kidding me? One second.
I am
think
at
something just came in
Rabbi
also.
Fagelstock, because I'm a Bruins fan, just put me ahead of Rabbi Brody.
One second. Levi Fagelstock just gave me a donation also.
83,343. We're on our way to 100,000. And then everyone can go to sleep, but not before then.
I don't care the end goal as long as I end up the night ahead of the Brodies.
Not a problem. Dailygiving.org. Check it out. Sign up if you haven't yet. Register dailygiving.org. $1 a day. You can continue to have fun in Rabbi Moskowitz's have fun at his expense. $1 a day. Looks like the shop ties
are out.
And the
Shop ties are out.
It's like a great game. Who will be the first couple to drop?
Survivor.
Last man standing.
Survivor behind the Bima.
If you don't let go.
Oh, the laptop battery just died. That's what happened. We lost
My
laptop.
AirPods,
Let's
their
see
laptop.
whether they plug in or not. It'll be interesting to see whether they plug in and rejoin. That is amazing.
That's a great excuse.
Yeah,
What else do people want to know? If you listen
there's parts of the country they've lost
later
power.
on the podcast review.
We might have to lose power soon too. Or Wi-Fi.
If you're
Who's
listening on
getting up
podcast
earliest
player, don't
tomorrow
forget to rate and
morning?
review.
Yeah, I know. It's not a joke.
The night is still young, ladies and gentlemen. This might
5
boggle your
hours.
mind, but there are close to 200 people still after 2.5
They
hours.
fell asleep listening.
I know why you're here.
Yeah,
I'm
they're-
not quite sure why they're here still.
Right.
By the way,
exactly.
I have this with my students when we have Zoom days that shiur ends and the camera's still on. Really, you're still listening.
Well, I got another
Zoom meeting
$1
last
donation. Hold on, I got another dollar donation from a fan, Idan Carmel, middle schooler. Idan Carmel, way past his bedtime, just gave me $1 donation. And the Schnitzel guys from Woodmere, New York, also made a very generous $2.43 donation
We love the Schnitzel guys.
in my honor. And for iloveschnitzel.com, the Schnitzel guys, and keep it coming. All I
The
need is
Schnitzel
like
guys,
100
the Schnitzel guys will not be getting an autograph book.
The Schnitzel guys have to
Well, if the Schnitzel guys make another,
Advertising.
$170 and $1 donations, they'll be getting a book.
Correct, they would have to. What would your message be if you had the opportunity, Rebbetzins, if you were standing before a room of young women married to men who are in smicha, and they're about to embark on a career as Rebbetzins, Jewish communal life, Jewish public life, with all that that brings, what would you tell that room of young women on their way to becoming Rebbetzins? What would your message be? What would you tell them to look out for? What would you tell them is most important? What would you tell them? I'm just buying you time right now, but what would your message to them be?
When you move to the
Start with
community,
Rabbis and
buy the
Goldberg.
house. Don't wait.
You did.
We did not.
Okay, moving on.
I guess I would say really just be true to yourself and really check in with yourself, because you're only as good as you really are feeling about things. So you don't want to become one of those people who are resentful of your husband's position. You want to make sure that you're being honest, you're being straightforward. And when something is too much, you don't push through anyway and say, yes, no problem, because then it will become a problem. So you really have to, this is good work. It's rewarding work. It's wonderful. And there's a lot of room for women to stand up and make a stand on things and share things. And we need more strong women in the community. I mean, I have a lot of role models, thank God, of Rebbetzins past who are amazing. I have role models right here who help me feel this way. But really just check in with you and make sure that you're checking in with your husband and you're not just being a martyr, when being a martyr can actually make things worse for your home life, which makes it hard for people to do their job. So really just
that is such great advice.
Check in with yourself.
I love that answer. Self-aware, self-care. You have to know where you're at, because, you know, Stephen Covey talks, it's sharpening the saw. You're only going to be as good as how you're feeling and where you're at. Blumenthal, tell the world about your Starbucks. Again, I don't know if you're still doing it during Corona, but the Starbucks
Actually, we got Corona
strategy.
instead, so we hang out all the time.
Right, you don't need that.
Starbucks dates.
Tell the world about your Starbucks strategy.
Oh, yeah.
So once upon a time when we used to leave the house.
That's correct. Once upon a time.
And our children left the house. We realized that it would get to, like, you know, a Wednesday, Thursday, which, you know, I feel like every year that we've been in the rabbinate, Shabbos starts a day earlier. You know what I'm talking about? Like Shabbos used to start on, like, you know, Friday afternoon. Now, like, if I don't get done what I want to get done in the week by Tuesday, Shabbos starts by, like, Tuesday mid-afternoon. Like, planning and preparing and schedules and what's happening, and like Shabbos starts really early in the week. And especially, you know, in the last couple of years when we've been having tons of families and people staying at our house and meals and, you know, figuring out who's coming and who's not coming and who's, you know, bringing what and doing what, like just running a home and a community that's, thank God, being at, you know, an incredible growth pace. We found that we didn't have time, like any time that we would sit down and have a date, we couldn't talk about ourselves. We couldn't talk about our family. We couldn't talk about, you know, doing things for our family. Because we were always focused on, like, oh, Shabbos is starting and Yontif is starting, and what are we doing for the children community? So we started doing these Starbucks dates in between, right? Yeah, early in the week was like Mondays or Tuesdays, depending on what months and where we were holding.
We legitimately put it in our calendars. Like in my work schedule, I had a space to go and meet Rail at the Starbucks. And it was a business meeting. It was like a work meeting, you know, not necessarily like to hang out. It wasn't a date. It was very strategic. I would make an agenda of what we needed to accomplish to make sure I got all my answers. Because I love how people text me from the shul to get his attention. It's like, hey, can you just ask your husband? I'm like, you text me, you can text him also. And they think I see him more. I'm like, you're probably going to see him before I'm going to see him. So I'm going to use my time for me to get my answers. So we do these little meetings on Mondays at Starbucks to just have an agenda, make sure we're on the same page with some shul things, make sure that we're giving off the same message and we're not conflicting with each other. So we found that was very helpful. We should do that.
We were like very marked in making sure, one, that it was out of the house.
Yeah.
Because if it's in the house, forget it.
Laundry or something. Yeah, I'm not going to be.
Like it's impossible to do this if you're at home. And the second thing was that it went on the calendar. Like it was scheduled like a meeting, was like blocked off on the schedule. Like somebody said to me, can I meet with you, speak with you, call you at that period? They're like, no, I have a meeting.
Right.
And that's
great advice.
It's the kind of thing that, like, we're all terrible about. And I say like all us and like the rabbinate and couples, like all of those, we're all terrible about honoring the time that we make for ourselves. Like we schedule things for ourselves and then like, we brush ourselves off a lot, like as individuals and as couples. We tend to not honor the commitments that we make to ourselves. And we made this commitment to ourselves and to each other that like those meetings, and like if one of us was running a few minutes late, we would text as if it was like, you're running late to a meeting. Like, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm running a couple minutes late.
Right.
With the understanding that this was a meeting with each other, and it allowed us to make sure that every other moment that we spent together, with our family, with the community, with each other, like on a date night, was not, the first half hour was dealing with, housekeeping items of what's coming up this week and what bills need to be paid and who's taking which kid to where. So like those conversations we didn't need to have while we're having a date night.
It's a great life hack. You get took care of that. Rabbi Brody, we know where Simone went just now. She clearly called her parents to make the donation that was made that put you back ahead of Rabbi Moskowitz.
There you go. I love it.
There's no way my in-laws are.
Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Zero chance.
Hey, my Rail's mom is probably awake.
Rebbetzin Moskowitz, talking to a room of young, potential budding Rebbetzins. What's your message to them?
I think just be sincere. People respect, sincerity. That's how you connect people. People don't like to be, lectured. Just building sincere relationships with people, I think, is the best way to be a role model and to encourage people on the path of growth.
That's a great answer. Rabbis Goldberg. You still awake?
Advice. Get a good night's sleep.
I'm tired. I don't know.
You're a Bobby. For God's sakes.
We're going to have to end this soon. I'm fading.
She's
very
a Bobby.
quickly.
Fading.
I think that I would say, since a few other great answers were already given, so I'll try to find my own. I think I would say that you have to find your own path in being a Rebbetzin. When we first moved here, I got a phone call from like every school in the community. Do you teach? You're going to be a teacher for us. You'll teach. And I just graduated graduate school for social work. I wasn't a teacher. I was not a Lumidei Kodesh teacher. I wasn't comfortable teaching the 5th grade in the Chabad school and the 7th grade in the local community school. And, that was kind of what they thought of
offered you at the
Rebbetzin.
Chabad school?
Yeah, they did. I remember getting a phone call. I mean, they knew I was coming, and they figured.
And there is the Chabad reference.
He was a Kol rabbi. They figured the Kol. It was a smaller community then, and there weren't as many, capable teachers and people moving in for that, so they were trying to find. So they figured a non-Kol rabbi is moving in, his wife is a teacher. And I made it very clear early on that I'm not a teacher, and that's not my field. It's, and thank God through the years I got a little more comfortable at speaking publicly, but for the first few years I didn't speak publicly, I didn't teach. So, but I knew what I did like, and that's getting to know people on a one-to-one basis, or being there for people when they needed something, or hosting, or, you kind of like build up your own, like my husband said, a Rebbetzin is not a paid position. It's not an official, this is what we need you to do from A to Z. Here's your job. It's kind of like, it's a 2-for-1 deal. You're hiring the rabbi, the wife. Often, there are times that some Rebbetzins don't really want to be involved and their husband's a rabbi, but they are something else outside of the home, and that's not their priority to be a Rebbetzin. But there are some Rebbetzins that do enjoy it, but it isn't a job for them. So they have to balance it with all their other responsibilities, and they have to know what in that role is interesting to them and what they want to tap into and what they want to be busy with. So you have to really think about who you are and what you're capable of and what you enjoy and what you could contribute, and don't feel like you have to do every single thing, but find what's meaningful to you and what you have time for. And I think that's important for young Rebbetzins.
That is a great answer.
It will evolve over time, but it's
right,
and
it can evolve. People who know what a great speaker you are now would never believe that early on you were very intimidated and didn't want to and were scared to. Yocheved is being featured in the upcoming podcast. Let's give a shout out to our friends and their new podcast. What's it called?
I knew you didn't know.
From Women?
It's called
Normal from Women. I know what it's called.
Who's hosting it?
Alex and Ricky.
Normal from Women.
Alex and Ricky, Normal from Women. They're coming after us. They've named and they're targeting behind the Bima. But they could come for us. We like that. A little kinnaso from Tar B'Chachma. And they're doing a great job. It's an important contribution because the world needs more normal from. Anything that combines the words normal and from is a great contribution. And Yocheved is a upcoming guest on their podcast. To give you a sense of the endurance of these Rebbetzins and how long we have been going, there is somebody who, when they got on the plane before takeoff, turned on behind the Bima, coming from New York to Florida.
No.
And they have now landed in Florida, and they're off the plane, and behind the Bima is still going. So behind the Bima has taken them from New York to Florida all the way. Who needs JetBlue, DirecTV, JetJew, DirecTV?
Behind the Bima.
We should.
Yeah, when he wakes up tomorrow, we're still going to be going on his way to work.
You think JetBlue would put us on one of their channels, like one of the options?
Should.
Behind the Bima? Just stream.
They have that on Makelal. They have like shiurim. They have different, Torah channels. We should have behind the Bima as one of the options.
They do. They do. We have such good friends. We don't take it for granted at all. We're closing in on 84,000, and we're getting closer to our goal by the end of this week of the 100,000, only because of our dear friends. We thank you for being part of our
Apparently, I
global
don't have as
community.
many friends because
You do.
I'm now $100 behind Rabbi Brody.
You're
So,
falling back behind. Rabbi Moskowitz, let me ask you this. You have the chance to talk to the younger version of yourself. What's your message?
Deep questions.
You could talk to the younger version of you just getting started. Knowing what you know now, what would you say?
Go Yankees.
I'll tell you, it's interesting. So much of the focus, smicha, is about, or at least when I was in smicha, was about speaking and was about Torah knowledge. And obviously those are critical to being a rabbi. You can't be a rabbi if you can't speak, and you can't be a rabbi if you can't tell someone when their fork falls into the sink with the fleishic dishes, what are they supposed to do about it? So obviously you have to be able to answer those two things. But I've learned over the last number of years in the rabbinate that actually when it comes to making meaningful relationships with people, when it comes to impacting people's lives, that's not what people are really looking for. In my experience here in Boca, what people are looking for is genuine relationships. They're looking for a rabbi they can connect with. They're looking for a rabbi who's willing to open up to them, who's willing to be a little bit vulnerable to them. They're looking for a rabbi who's going to listen really well, who's going to be there for them in time of need, who they can confide in, and is going to maintain that confidentiality. And so, I always found it ironic when you go on a Prabha Shabbos, when I came down here. So what do you have me do? You had me give speeches and you had me give shiurim. But the truth is, neither of those I would like to believe are any indicators of my success here in Boca. It's not the shiurim, it's not the speeches that I've given, it's really the relationships that you build. And so if I had to talk to my younger self, if I had to talk to smicha students, I would really encourage them to put more of an effort into that, into developing that part of themselves that is able to, is really able to do active listening, is able to balance being a friend with someone, also being their mentor and being a spiritual guide. All of the things we've spoken about tonight, those are the things that I've learned along the way are actually much more important to the rabbinate than I was led to believe in smicha.
Important. That's an important conversation to the younger you and to the young rabbis today. Rabbi Brody, what would you tell a younger version of Josh Broide?
I can't do that in front of my wife.
What would
you still wear the Doc
message?
Martens?
So she's gonna get angry at me all the time. It's be a whole
It's
show.
a safe space. This is Simone. It's a safe space, right?
It's a safe space.
the-
Sort of a safe space with
yeah.
the whole world.
Only the 8 of us.
If anybody's been listening for long enough, they deserve to be able to hear it. Whatever it is.
If they're still with us, they deserve
Still
whatever.
here.
Yeah.
Whether it's on
If you're listening on the podcast,
or if you're scrolling to hour 2, minute 41, you get to hear whatever you want to hear.
if you're on the podcast, don't forget to rate and review. And if you are listening on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. And if you're listening anywhere, don't forget to go brsonline.org/global. Rabbi Brody, I'm buying you some time
Yeah, I
to
appreciate
negotiate with Simone and tell us what you would tell a younger version of you.
I don't think I've ever
My
seen
younger
Rabbi Brody.
self. I'll tell you what it is. I know exactly what it is. There's been many things I've done in the last, I would say, most of my life. Let's say 30 years, 35 years, where I had an idea and for some reason, I don't know what it was, I gave up too soon on a particular goal or a particular project, and only to see that if I would have just stuck with it a little bit longer, it probably would have worked. And I think sometimes, just go with your gut. Like don't if you think it could work, just go for it. Just do it. Don't pull back. Go all in if you really believe you can do something.
And why did you think that would get you in trouble with Simone?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know what I was going to say. Just tell me when you. That was my way of trying to stall also, because I didn't know what I was going to say.
You didn't know what you were going to say, but you knew that there was a big likelihood it would get you in trouble with Simone.
No, that's all. It's all. The truth is, it's funny that he said that because I actually think that Josh
I don't know. What
does
would
go
I
with
say?
his gut and does go.
No,
for
I'm telling
things.
you, there's something I don't want to get into the details now. Like, I'm just telling you, there are things
Because
where
that's what's going to get him in trouble.
I know that if I would have been stuck with certain things would have been very different. And
Okay.
Like you always wonder why things turn out in a certain way. Always. You always, if I would have done this, if I would have done
It's
that.
the way it's meant to be. It's from Hashem.
It's the way it's meant to be. But I'm telling you, I also know that I was on the right track to something.
You still are. You still are.
I am.
Well,
I know I am. But I just you just keep working hard. That's it.
Rabbi
Keep
Blumenthal, if
working
there's something for you to tell your younger self, you can just look in the mirror and say it now because you are still the young self. But what would you tell your even younger self?
So
but I'm going to buy Rabbi Blumenthal sometime. I'm going to let Ariel bid our viewers farewell. She does have to get up and see patients in the morning, and we don't want that to be a dangerous experience.
Good night. Thank you for having me. It was an honor. It's good to see our good friends. And good night, everyone. Thank you.
I know Simone's thinking right now. Why does she get to go?
How's Ariel tomorrow?
We're all jealous.
Rabbi Moskowitz, you've been a great sport.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us.
Good night. Thanks.
Thank you. Good night. Nobody's hostage. My kids have started a hashtag Let Yocheved Go campaign to me, but it's not happening.
Thousands shouting no. Let Yocheved go.
Okay, Rabbi Blumenthal.
To tell my younger self, so there's a concern when at least for myself, like finishing smicha and starting, working in the Rabbanos, is I don't know enough. And that's the thing that like we've spoken about a bunch, like, between us and with other Rabbanim, is this constant feeling of like imposter syndrome, of like, we all know that whenever a question comes up that, that's well beyond our level of knowledge, pay grade, we all have the poskim that we have on speed dial to be able to call. And there's this feeling of like somebody's going to ask me something and I'm just not going to know what to say or how to handle it or how to manage it. And what I've realized, and this is true from Rabbi Moskowitz's point of the interpersonal relationship stuff, but as well just in terms of like the Talmud Torah stuff, is I really think I've learned more being a Rav than I ever learned in a Beis Medrash, and that's something that I think is one of the greatest privileges of the Rabbanos. Firstly, I get to explore things that I would never have been able to explore in the Beis Medrash, things that are really like shaykh to Torah's Chaim, to things that relate to people's lives in like really deep ways, that are not just pots and pans and knives and forks and milchiks and fleischiks. Not that those things aren't important, but those are not the things that like really keep people up at night. And to be able to have well-formulated perspectives on what the Torah thinks about much larger life issues takes a long time to develop, and those are not things that are often well-developed while learning Yerideh in a Beis Medrash. Those are things that come from having a lot of conversations and learning a lot of things that are in the world of day-to-day living. But the other thing, and I speak to young Rabbanim about this a bunch, meaning younger Rabbanim than myself, is the greatest privilege, I really think, of being a Rav, is being able to make those difficult phone calls to my own Rabbanim and Poskim and ask them how they think through those issues. And that's something like, you get an inside look into how Gedolei Yisrael think that you don't get it in a Beis Medrash. Meaning when you sit, and I've had the schus of having really difficult conversations in halacha with Moreno Rabbeinu or Shechter and Rav Willig and with Mary Rabbi Rav Blachman. I've had these hard conversations, like talking about really complex things that are not like just open and shut Shulchan Aruch things, and to hear how Gedolei Torah work through issues of Torah and Psak and Hashkafa and Emunah and interpersonal relationship sensitivities. Those are things that, I feel privileged to be in the front row of those shiurim, chavrusas, and conversations that never happen like out in the open, that never happen in public. You get to speak to Rabbanim and Gedolim, and I feel like I've learned and grown in a very selfish and personal way, like a super selfish and personal way. Like I get to have conversations with poskim that nobody in a Beis Medrash usually gets to get. And that's something that I would certainly tell young Rabbanim and certainly tell young myself, like there's a lot to learn outside of the Beis Medrash. And
That is a great message.
a lot more to learn outside the Beis Medrash than in.
That is a great message. Message.
Okay. Breaking news. I pulled ahead of Rabbi Brody from a Yankees fan nonetheless. I don't know who it is. Big Yankees fan from New York. Very generous donation, $250. Love behind the Bima. I will say it. Go Yankees. If you want to make a $250 donation, I will pledge my allegiance to the Yankees, but I'm ahead of it.
Yeah, we do have this recorded. For sure we have it recorded. We are $1,106 away from 85,000, and I would love to end the episode tonight at 85,000, 85% of our goal. So if you're out there and you haven't given yet, you could dig a little deeper. You want to be part of our global community, or you just want to let Yocheved get to sleep. $1,106.
Yeah.
Yocheved's going to take out her phone and make
1,000 people, $1 donations. 1,000 people, $1.
You could do it. You could do it however you want. One person, the whole thing. 1,000 people, $1 each. Whichever way. The Rambam says better to give $1 to 100 people than $100 to one. The act of giving is transformational.
Schnitzel guys are doing that tonight.
So the Schnitzel guys are being Mekayim that Rambam one by one, but we are $1,100 away, and then we'll put everybody out of their misery, and we can go to sleep. I would tell my younger self, enjoy your hair while you got it. Take good care of it. A little mousse.
Put a little soul glow in there.
Take good care of it. I'll tell you what I would tell my younger self. Thank you guys for asking. I would tell my younger self, Joey Bodner's on. I love Joey. Joey, for a wonderful evening, watching the entire time, tells his younger self to move to Boca. Joey Bodner. And would you bring down a pizza store and catering? That is the question. Joey, we love you. I hope you're healthy and well, and take care. Thank you for your support. I would tell my younger self that you're going to encounter pushback and criticism. Always try to accept the part of it. Try to take the message even if you don't like the messaging or messenger. But the most important thing I'd say to my younger self is just because you got one email or a piece of feedback, it doesn't mean that's what everyone's saying or what everyone believes. The people who are happy, often, although the beauty of this campaign that we've been doing, all around, 656 people have made a statement about valuing BRS and the content that we provide, and that it means the world to us. It is the air we breathe. It really is so supportive. It means everything to us. But in general, you don't hear from the happy people. You hear from the people that aren't. And it's very easy to exaggerate or to project out and assume that that's what everybody's saying. And I would tell my younger self, take it with a grain of salt. Do your best. Live with yourself. And when you've done your best, I'm actually going to write an article about this in the next couple of weeks. But when you've done your best and you've given it your all, and you can live with yourself, and you're v'yisem nikiyim Hashem and Yisrael, you're proud of the way you present yourself to Hashem and everybody else, then what other people are saying is none of your. In the recovery program, 12-step, they say, what other people think about me is none of my business. So I'm trying to live that, and if I could have known that and worked on that from a younger age, what other people think about me is none of my business.
I like that line.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, even our camera's tired because it just got blurry.
You know what? Let's say by 12 o'clock. 9 more minutes. Yes.
3 hours. We gotta hit the 3 hour.
Oh my God!
mark.
It's only 9 minutes to 12.
Carpool tomorrow.
We're in Shavuos territory over here.
I have to wake up at 5
I'm going straight up until my Tillim class tomorrow morning. We're just going straight.
Oh, for sure.
Which minyan are you going to tomorrow?
We are $1,106 away.
Oh no!
We're having issues.
Yeah, I'm telling you, our technology is rebelling against
Yeah,
us.
what app is that it makes it look like?
If you've not dug deep.
That's the millennial. Rabbi Blumenthal tried to hack his camera, and the camera's hacking back right now.
What did you just download, Rabbi Blumenthal?
Yeah, it's my signal. It's glitching.
Give us the life hack. What did you just download?
The Russians are like, let Eliza go to sleep.
I also have work in the morning.
Help us. We are hostage.
All right, lightning speed. Lightning round. Simone, favorite food?
Food. Will know I'm not bored anymore.
It's ice
Lightning
cream.
round.
It's not really food, but it's like
Ice cream? Josh, favorite
my
food?
go-to.
Tofu? What's your favorite food?
No, I love this Impossible Burger at Ditmas.
He's very into that.
I love it. They put
Beyond
jalapenos
Burger.
on top, the Beyond Burger.
Oh, that sounds
I don't know why the other restaurants can't get it. The Milchig restaurant can get it. The Fleischig restaurant can get it. Everyone can serve it. I'll eat it.
Yeah. Gavril Pinchas, Rabbi Moskowitz, favorite food?
Red peppers.
Stop it.
You think I'm kidding? You think I'm? Ask my mom. When everyone else was getting packages of candy in camp, my bubby was sending me red peppers. I love red peppers.
Stop it. Okay.
But you're one of those families where they didn't send you candy? You weren't allowed to get
No,
candy?
they send me candy also. I love red peppers. I could eat a red pepper for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I love red
Rabbi
peppers.
Blumenthal, favorite food?
This is a hard question. Fleischiks.
Fleischiks. It's category food. We'll go with it.
That's Rabbi Goldberg's
Rabbits and
favorite
Blumenthal,
as well.
Lisa, favorite food.
First of all, that says it all. I said a red pepper, and Rabbi Blumenthal said fleischiks.
That's it. Fleischiks. That's the category. It's a category of favorite food. That's I'm a simple Jew. I like fleischiks.
Nothing simple about you. Rabbits and Lisa, favorite
We're not
food.
going for a vegan diet. I know we've gotten into like hot sauces lately.
That's true.
There you go.
Yeah, that's been fun.
Nando's hot sauce.
Nando's from South Africa.
South African hot sauce.
Yeah, my
Hot
name's
sauce.
on.
South
And
African.
they have this
Put it
like
on the put it on the
coconut
Starbucks
one.
date. Don't forget to get the hot sauce.
Hot sauce for the Starbucks date. Yeah.
That's
Favorite
now
food.
Really good babka with a coffee with coffee mate, with my Italian sweet cream coffee mate. That's like,
And Mishpacha magazine.
yes, that's my Shabbos morning. A really good babka with a really good coffee.
Shabbos.
What's your favorite cover?
That's my that's my go-to happy place. It would be nice to be like on a deserted beach also, but that's usually not part of it.
I go for good steak. I like steak with some fried onions. But I would say also the Friday night after the meal, Rabbi Moskowitz is going to fall off his chair when I say this, but coming back from a Shalom Zach or a Tish or a speaker Friday night and hitting the chalent, just for a little bowl, a little spritz of barbecue sauce in the
gosh.
bowl, steal a little
Not
bit
that
of
it
kishka.
needs the barbecue sauce.
Not that
It's
it
very
needs the
good without
barbecue
it.
sauce. No, but the Friday night chalent is the best chalent, better than Shabbos day. Friday night chalent is it's
I'd
Hold
have
on, Rabbi
heartburn,
Goldberg.
I'd have heartburn
Coffee
for
and
a
the
month and a
Danish?
half.
coffee and Danish is
coffee and Danish at the end of a fast, no?
Oh, for sure. All I need is a coffee. I can fast another 24 hours. Okay. Favorite, first we'll start with Sefer. Favorite Sefer to learn for inspiration. I think we spoke about this last week also, but we have an expanded group here. Rabbi Blumenthal, favorite Sefer.
Oof.
That's a hard question.
That's
It's like asking who's your favorite child.
Favorite Sefer today. It's what's your favorite Sefer today?
what's my favorite Sefer?
Look around your desk.
I don't know. It's hard. Picking a favorite Sefer is like impossible. But it really depends. It really depends on where we're at, where we're holding. I will say I've recently been loving that. There we go.
Now the lighting's
There we go. We'll pick that up. This the new Ozvahader Shla has been like an absolute life-changing sefer. They did a magnificent job. Yeah, everything's falling. They did a magnificent job.
All your hacks are coming crumbling down. By the way.
Hold on.
They expire after a certain amount of time.
We'll turn the glitching back on.
Tomorrow's gonna wake up.
I recently, like in the last 2 years or so, started learning the Shla. It's a very hard sefer in general, but it's been like really interesting in terms of like expanding perspectives. In terms of emuna, bitachon, hashkafa, that's been really cool. It's
That's your favorite sefer. Okay, Rabbi Moskowitz.
Random enough.
Has it changed from last week?
Ali Shore from Revolvi.
Ali Shore, Rabbi Brody.
Anything Rabbi Frand or Rabbi Akiva Tats.
Okay. Now
English.
I don't want to exclude
I
the
do
women.
English.
Rabbi Goldberg.
Women can learn Sfarim. I'm not excluding the women.
Why would you? You said it's extended, so everyone could be.
Simone, favorite sefer.
I'm definitely not a safer girl, I would say. I read books more. Anything inspirational, anything that's, inspiring, that's real, that's true. That's I actually like halacha also. But I wouldn't say I'm a safer girl.
Okay.
Anything on RabbiEfremGoldberg.org.
I love Rabbi Moskowitz, Rabbi Blumenthal too.
They don't have websites yet.
Well, if you love me, you make $1 donation to my name right now.
Yeah, Rabbi Moskowitz, that's a shalom bias issue already.
Listen, Yocheved doesn't know anyone who loves her either, because they'd be putting her out of her misery. But all we need is $1,106. $6 at least brings us to
How many
$83,900.
we still have a bunch of listeners.
We have a
donate.
ton of listeners. We got
First of all, I love this comment. I spent years in school in yeshiva. I've never ever sat for this long. This is a morning seder, by the way. This is a full morning seder. We're ready for lunch and then shir right after this.
We got Maya Esrim still listening to us.
I'm impressed.
Avi Feder is one of my colleagues at Yachad.
Yes, Avi Feder, great guy. We love him. Went to Israel together. Rebbetzin Yocheved, favorite sefer.
I would say right now, Megillas Esther.
So let me get this straight. Simone said Rabbi Efrem Goldberg, and you said Megillas Esther.
I'm saying
Okay.
whatever we're into right now. So
Just
we're
checking.
about to approach Purim, and I've always been a fan of Megillas Esther and the Purim series.
It's good.
It's
good stuff.
choose that.
Yeah, I'm into
Rabbi
Rabbi
Goldberg?
B'yam D'Rachecha right now. Favorite book? Favorite book? Yocheved.
I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna say goodnight. Okay.
No. Simone, it could be like a
Favorite
PJ
book.
library.
You got that book next to your nightstand.
Yocheved, favorite
You
book.
always wanna share the
How about
book
this?
you're
Favorite
reading.
genre of
Sorry.
literature. Favorite genre of books.
It's not even a question.
I mean, I happen to like historical fiction, in particular World War II. That's something that I enjoy reading about. Yeah. What's yours?
I don't read fiction. All I read is like self-help, productivity books, biographies. I recently read a very interesting book called The Orchard, which we won't discuss now. But I do read productivity, business, self-help type books. Aliza, favorite genre of books?
Well, right now, just for therapy, I'm doing a lot of mindfulness stuff, trying to get more into that, helping people. Most of my clients right now are telehealth. So we're just really working on how to keep calm, reduce anxiety. I see a lot of people who are over 70, seems to be my client base at the moment. So a lot of them are on lockdown and are just still worried about Corona and different things. So we're working on how to keep calm and how to, take time for themselves, even when they're alone with themselves all the time, but to do it on purpose. So I recommend getting into that. And I'm trying to take my own advice and do that for myself.
That is
as well,
good.
Being in
Our
lockdown.
friend who watched Behind the Bima the entire flight back is still sitting on the plane because they made an announcement they can't find someone to pull the bridge up to the plane. And they
That means
announced,
we get.
please sit
That
tight.
means
We
we
hope that
keep
resolved.
going.
If anyone knows how to operate a bridge of a plane and can make their way to Fort Lauderdale Airport right now, it would be greatly appreciated by us all.
Right.
Rabbi Blumenthal.
I'm gonna thank everyone for
we're almost
wonderful
done. We're almost
night.
done. We're
It's
winding down.
midnight,
I'm gonna go with
and
you,
I
Kevin.
have to
I'm
drive
gonna go
kids to
grab
school
the
tomorrow
plane.
morning. So
The women are
thank
gonna
you all.
leave.
It was great hanging out with all of you. We need to do it more often. Fun night was had by all. Thank you, rabbis, for producing such wonderful content each week that we all
Here we
tune in
go.
for. And thank you everyone who's still listening and who has or listening.
It's already
after,
Thursday.
Or watching or.
What?
And,
It just turned Thursday.
It's Thursday.
There are
So
100.
good
There are
night, everyone.
113 people still listening. Do you
There
know
are
who's joined
113
us?
people sitting in bed with saliva
First
coming
of
out
all,
of their mouth as they're
we're
sitting
about to
there
get our
sleeping.
second wind. We're about to get the Eretz Yisrael crowd.
1,000 to go. 1,000
That'd be
to
great.
go.
Is anyone? Can you comment if you're from Eretz Yisrael right
Yeah,
now?
comment if you're in Israel.
Or South
Comment if you're in
Africa.
another time zone and you've just joined.
Right.
We got 115. We're going up in numbers right now.
115.
Ooh, the night is young. This is awesome. We are
I see a
just
coffee.
getting
Anyone want to
started.
make me a coffee here?
Yeah, we're getting started over here. Hold on one
throw
second.
it to
I just have to change something
I'm
important.
going to say
here.
goodnight too.
Hold on,
But thank
hold
you
on.
again for having me
Okay.
on Behind the Bima.
Simone, thanks for joining us.
Simone, you're a real
Rebbetzin
trooper.
Brody.
You're a real
I
trooper.
want you to know
Yeah,
you did not
she said-
tell us when we came on that it was going to be a 2 hours run tonight.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
It
It was
was
over
3
3
hours.
3 hours.
By the way,
But
she
we
said
are-
goodnight about 4
No,
times
we-
already. She can't leave. She doesn't want to go.
We are at 84,000. Do we have 1,000 more? Eretz Yisrael, England, France, Australia, South Africa. Everybody who just woke up on other continents and who have joined us live. That's
Yeah, we
right.
take shekels, rands. We do it all. Every currency.
That's right. This is not a recording. We are still going. Perseverance and endurance. We are into the 4th hour right now.
And a $5 donation just came in for me.
Wait till Matthew Hockerman wakes up and checks this out. He will not believe it.
Weinschneider's going to check in another few minutes.
He will not believe
You
it.
guys are still there.
It's still
He will
on.
not believe it. He will not believe it. It's outstanding. Rate and review if you're listening on Podcast Player. Check out brsonline.org/global and dailygiving.org. You got to check it out. If you're not yet a member, sign up for dailygiving.org. It's really, first of all, nobody's sponsorship ever got as much plug because we've been doing it for 3 hours.
And last week, he sponsored last week also.
And all of our dedicated listeners, please call and email this $1 a day and tell them you want all that money to go to BRS.
Let him know.
Let him know.
Rabbi Moskowitz has pulled ahead, by the way. Rabbi Moskowitz is ahead by like a few bucks.
That is
I can't do
right.
the math. It's too late at night. But
Yeah.
oh,
What's that?
Joel Spiro wants to know whether we're saying Akdamas when this ends. It's a great question.
Should bring Stuart Silverman on.
We're going straight into the Akdamas. When I was in Karen B'Yavna, Rabbi Ariel, you'll appreciate this. My first year in Karen B'Yavna was the Rosh Hashivas last year, the Rav Goldberg Zatzal. The Rosh Hashiva used to sleep on Shavuos night, but then come in. And he had a Masorah of a certain Akdamas that he led on Shavuos morning. And I'll never forget staying up the entire night. We were all plotzing. And the Rosh Hashiva had just slept the whole night. Again, it was a different age. He deserved it. But he led an Akdamas. It was an Isayan. It was a test. It was not easy.
I always joke with the Chavra on Shavuos morning that we read Akdamas to feel like we're Malachim because they don't understand the Aramaic either.
There are some cardinal sins in Judaism. Slow Akdamas is one of them. Singing Hallel Shavuos morning is a second one of them. Long drawn out Karbach on Friday night when Asara B'Teves is a Friday is another one of them. What are the other cardinal sins in Judaism?
Cardinal sins of Shul, right?
Cardinal sins of Shul. Cardinal sins of Shul life.
Eating white fish and then coming up to the rabbi to have a conversation.
Yeah, because it ends up all over your face. The other person's white fish ends up in your face.
We got it.
Yeah. Thank you to Elchanan. $5 more gets me that much closer to Rabbi Moskowitz.
All right, here I have a question for you, Rabbi Goldberg. What's something you've done recently that has brought tears to your eyes?
That's every 10 minutes.
No, what doesn't
bring tears to his eyes?
Talking to someone? Was it a conversation with something that you read? The Schreiers are still listening.
First of all, it brings tears to my eyes that the Schreiers are still listening. I love the Schreiers. Who does not love the Schreiers? What are the things that bring tears to my eyes?
Right, guys, it's past the 12 mark, so I'm done. It's tomorrow.
You're the last woman standing.
Yeah,
by the way,
I carpool because my kids are still in quarantine, so I just have to deal with them for the entire day tomorrow. So yeah,
they'll be up in about 15 minutes.
That's correct.
As Rabbi Goldberg's thinking, don't forget we do cameos now. I did one this past Sunday for a couple that was having a wedding anniversary in Israel.
Is that where your money came in from?
Whoa!
No, I did it for free, but it's just if anyone wants a cameo.
We are $490 away from shutting down for the night.
Shlomo and Racheli Fried, thank you so much. Wow. That is so meaningful. Thank you for that generosity.
That
it means the world. $490
away.
away. We are $490 away from counting
close.
sheep.
By the way, I just checked. Alos HaShachar is at 5:44 and 47 seconds.
I think we could do it. We got it.
No, we can do it. We can do it.
5:44.
There are stories. You hear stories of chesed. You hear stories of outstanding things that people do for other people, going above and beyond, digging deep, being there, showing up. And
just dig deep right now.
You know, I know a woman shared with me about another woman that was struggling to get by and who had helped her financially, but the other woman was very proud and didn't want to take the money. And so the one who was helpful would go on the internet to check the tax, I guess it's public, whether the taxes had been paid on the house, and would just pay it without the friend even knowing it because they had too much pride, and told that in passing, not to flex at all. And that moves you. That kind of stuff moves you. Talk about, again, the humanity, the heart, the soul. It moves you, and it moves you to get choked up. It makes you get choked up to tears. What a video. My wife sent us around a video recently that I told her I wouldn't cry, but then, of course, I was sitting there bawling like a baby.
No, but that's what we come back to. You know, when people speak about the rabbinate and you know, we spoke about the challenges a little bit tonight, but those are the beautiful parts. I mean, obviously, I know the story you're referring to as well, and that was told to us recently. And that, to me, is you and I and the four of us were inspired regularly by stories that we hear, by acts of kindness that we see. And the most amazing part is 99.9% of the acts of kindness that we're seeing, nobody else knows about, right? We only see it because of our position as rabbis, but the majority of the community has no clue how much chesed and the degree of the chesed and the sensitivity of the chesed that's taking place on a constant basis. And really, Baruch Hashem, the four of us have front row seats to it. And I think we're so much more enriched as a result of it.
Amazing. Can I just say, I think Rails figured out a way to put a video of himself there. I don't think he's really awake.
I'm still, don't worry.
Yeah, that's part of the video he made.
It's true.
He says it every few seconds to say he's still there.
I have a student that did that. He made a looping video of himself.
We just got, I don't know, it's anonymous, but a great message on the donation. I don't know if you could put that up, Rabbi Goldberg, from Give Butter. But to the rabbis who managed to create such an incredible community of Achdus, thank you. The only shul where you can hear a Zionist vort mentioning Herzl in between Mincha Marav, and right after have a chassid get up and daven Marav for the Amr right after. And yes, that's a true story from BRS. So we are very proud of our diversity. And
that is a great story, and thank you. I got a message from BRS West. Go Rabbi Blumenthal. Nice.
Woohoo!
Nice. We are in our fourth hour, and the night is young. We're just getting started.
$440 left. $440 left, and I'm going to prepare my Tillim class.
Just a little while until we're milchiks.
Doesn't StreamYard give you like a limit?
Hold on. This is big. What's about to happen?
Oh no, what's
this
about
is big.
to happen?
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, we got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pride that we are welcoming the BRS staff member who lives in Israel, who just woke up.
Wow. Actually,
Rob Shore. Rob.
I know
Rob Shore.
I finished davening already. I'm actually past Shachas already.
That is amazing.
Wow,
that's how long we are going.
This is wild. What's going on? Why are you guys still on? What's going on?
Because we're Brs Global Campaign. We're up to, Rob. Wow. While you slept, we were bringing in the dough. We're up to almost $85,000, 85% of our goal. We're pushing dailygiving.org, our great sponsor from last night into this morning. And Rob is one of the world's greatest graphic designers, creative minds, visionaries,
marketing expert. Of course, primarily works for our beloved Yeshiva University, but is a major part of the BRS team and everything you see coming out of BRS. The Weekly, he is the editor-in-chief of the BRS Weekly. Rob, tell our listeners, these numbers are mind-boggling. There are 900 members of BRS local, and now we're up to over 660 members of BRS Global. People who are not members of BRS, don't necessarily live in Boca, likely don't live anywhere near Boca, but who connect with what we do. And we want to provide them some content. Tell them what we're going to be giving them with the Join the BRS Global. You're going to be on a special email list, and you're going to get what?
It's going to be a new edition of the BRS Weekly. It's going to be featured content, stuff you're not going to get anywhere else. It's going to be it's just going to make your Shabbos table. It's going to change your whole Shabbos. It's really incredible where it was coming out, and it's really unique.
You can, I'll tell you, for this, you can give like 50 cents like most of Rabbi Moskowitz's supporters, or you could give $1,800 like Rabbi Broide's supporters. It's not a matter of how much you give. As long as you give, you're a member of the global community, you'll be on this email list, you'll get this special newsletter that you will not want to miss printing it out. It will make your Shabbos table, and Rob is the one who's going to make it all happen. Rob is a graphic design genius. Rob, tell us about where you are right now.
So we live in Ramat Beit Shemesh, which is, I like to say the RBS-BRS connection is very strong. We moved here about 10 years ago. So I'm in my basement right now. If you could tell, there's not a fake background. And you could tell I'm not a rabbi because I'm the only one that doesn't have Svarim in the background. I apologize for that. I probably should have put like a fake background or something. But there's a layman here. But yeah, it's great. We're here. We're hoping to get out of our lockdown very soon. Things are exciting here in Israel, with vaccines.
Right.
And it's an exciting time to be here.
Now, Rob, you and I have known each other for many years. We worked together at YU, and now
Moskowitz and I have a very long history together. We have stories that will never get out to light of day.
That is right. And I consider you one of the most talented people that I know. Did you always have that talent growing up? Did you always knew that you had this talent, this artistic ability? Was graphic design always the path you were going down? At what point did you decide that you were going to make a career and a living out of this?
I'll tell you, I never planned doing this. I was always a community programming guy. That's what I do for YU. A lot of, I run programs for YU. I ran a lot of programs for YU. But then I married a graphic designer, and she opened my eyes to the world of graphic design, and it's amazing. So it's, especially coming to Israel, when we moved to Israel, so YU was very accommodating to me and let me rearrange my responsibilities to do more stuff that was online, which included graphic design. And then Shul started hearing about it, and then one thing led to another, and that's amazing. It's really, Hashem took care of me, and so it kind of really fell into my lap. Usually you hear those stories, and they're like, oh, it's that guy, and then that happened to me, but it really does happen sometimes. Where you have these.
Tell us about Aliyah. What's Aliyah been like?
Aliyah's hard. I hope people come. I hear the rumors there are a lot of people coming this summer. but it is hard. I don't want to discourage anybody, but it's America is a great, an amazing place. I definitely would never, it's, I don't know what you have to jump in. We really jumped in without thinking too much about it, and I don't know if we'd ever be able to do it again. It's hard, but it's amazing. I'm really happy we're here. My kids are getting, is just, I could never imagine my kids doing what they're doing now in America. The opportunities here are amazing, and just the environment is amazing. I want to encourage everybody to come to Israel. I definitely want to encourage everybody, and there's no question that everyone should be thinking about it. But everyone should be thinking about it with two eyes open and realize that it's a big transition to move anywhere. So moving to Israel is a big deal. But again, I can't say enough. Israel's amazing, and everyone should, especially Rabbi Shemesh. I personally think Rabbi Shemesh. I've never been to Boca. That's the dirty secrets. I've actually never been to Boca Raton in my life.
Wow.
It's really bad. I had all these plans to come, and then Corona hit.
Well, we have the global community. You don't have to be.
I'm the chief member of the global community here. I feel like I was the pioneering member. But besides for Boca, Beit Shemesh is the greatest city I could ever imagine. It's you're talking about Achdus. I mean, like, this is Achdus. This is like, you're living side by side with every single type of Jew you could possibly imagine. And there's just I've never had any experience like that in America that even comes close to that. It's incredible. It's really beautiful.
Rob, when you come, you got to bring your exercise clothing for a big staff meeting. We're going to bring in a trainer.
That's one thing apparently running in Boca is very flat. That's one of the things I'm really dying to try. I actually do run a lot in Ramat Shemesh, but I think it's like Ramat Shemesh and all of Israel somehow is like one of those Escher sketches where like everything's uphill no matter which way you go. It's always just hills. So I hear Boca is very flat, which is amazing. I'm dying to try it. I hear it's a lot easier to run there. So I'm really dying to try that.
Tell us about what's the feeling in Eretz Yisrael right now in Israel? The lockdown is over, and they're going to be opening up some more things. On the other hand, the numbers are still scary. The new variant on the virus is out there. Yet so many people are vaccinated. It feels like Israel is going to be the very first country that's going to turn some sense of normalcy. So are people frustrated? Are they ready to still bear down to do what they need to? Is there a feeling like most people are vaccinated? Why are we still being careful? When will the airports open? When will we be able to visit again?
It's a great question. I think Israel was not meant for rules. Like, I don't think they realized that it's not a good idea to make rules in Israel for people to keep. The feeling is definitely positive right now. People are definitely feeling like things are opening up, things are getting better, things are on the up and up. I'm hoping, my kids have been out of school for the past, I think, 5 weeks. So I'm hoping that they're coming back to school on Sunday, which is very exciting. So I think the feeling is definitely good. In terms of the airports, unfortunately, a lot of these decisions are political. Like you had Naftali Bennett on last week, and he was right. If he becomes prime minister, he'll open the airports in a month. It's a political decision at this point. It's basically, people, like someone said, the government has the ability right now to decide that we can live with this right now or not. Like, it's basically up to the government. There's no facts. There's no hard numbers. Like, it just is what it is right now at this point. But it's definitely, I think that it definitely is a positive feeling. And I'm hoping people will be able to come. I'm dying for you guys to come. I'm dying for my family to come visit. I'm dying to come visit my family in America. So it's definitely positive. I would say everyone should start looking to book tickets because it's really cheap right now to book tickets.
Right.
I would definitely say it's worthwhile buying some tickets and getting some extra ones just in case. It's so cheap. It's amazing.
Delta and United announced today that they're going to be flying as well as El Al. They're open to go. And
I can tell you, I bought United tickets. We're going in July, hopefully. We bought for $625 a ticket.
Right. Wow.
It's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. So buy now.
Kibbutz Galios, time to come home.
It's time to come home, but wait for the summer because I'd like to get one more trip in, to America before that happens.
We are $260 away from $85,000. $260. Rabbi Moskowitz can be put out of his misery. He can go to sleep for the night. $260. So
this is the longest I've sat. This is the longest I've sat in a BRS meeting in 11 years, for sure.
$260.
In honor of Rabbi Moskowitz. So we are now $160 away.
Oh, wow.
$160 away, and Rabbi Moskowitz is pulled ahead of Rabbi Brody again.
Oh my gosh!
So Rabbi Brody, you need some love here, Rabbi Brody.
Benji, what are you doing to me over here? Come on.
He heard my wife was on. Lawrence. He had to take care. I understand.
That's right.
Rob, what's the best part of working for BRS? You're obviously one of the.
You guys are incredibly creative. It's amazing. It's a huge operation. There's so much going on. It's just never a dull moment. It's great. It's really, it's a big privilege to be part of BRS. It's very few, there are, I won't say it's the only shul, but it's one of the few shuls that are doing what they're doing, which is making such a big impact on the community, even beyond the walls. It's a major, I have a lot of good stories. I like to, I kind of brag. I use the bragging rights when I talk to other people. Oh yeah, I was in a meeting with Rabbi Goldberg, with Rabbi Moskowitz, and I can tell you what's going on, what's coming down the pike. It's very exciting.
It's great. It's great to have you. And
Inside
you're not going to
trading.
believe this, but look who else is joining us.
Wow.
Just when you think we're calling it a night.
Wow.
Listen, when you're a COO, Chief Operating Officer, you're in the car. You're just coming home from work at 12:20 at night when you're helping to run Boca Raton Synagogue.
Jeffrey, where are you?
I'm leaving the office. It was just a really long day.
So let's just say that they found someone to bring the bridge to the plane. Baruch
Well, and
Hashem.
$160, I'm leaving the office also. So
Yes, there's somebody out there who's not giving
there's
yet.
got to be a Schreier left who's going to allow
Who
me
wants
to
to
go
be part of the
sleep
Boca Raton Synagogue global community. But Rob, you're amazing. You're a great asset to us. And
Thanks for bringing me on. This is like my bucket list here. This is amazing,
The Avir to Eretz Yisrael, you bring our community. We all want to be with you. We will be with you one day
Looking forward.
soon.
Thanks so much.
So we love everything you're doing. And Jeffrey, tell us how
Great.
you're doing. Jeffrey, we brought you on the night that you were announcing that you were joining the team at BRS. What's it been like your first couple months?
It's been great. I was definitely a lot more nervous that night than I am right now. Now I know you all, and I feel much more part of the team, much more part of the family. Really, really loving it. Not gonna lie, the job is hard, but it's very rewarding. Very different experience than anything that I've done in the past. But I really, really enjoy it, and I couldn't be happier.
That's great.
What's an
We are so lucky to
unexpected
have
thing?
you.
What's an unexpected thing that you didn't realize was going to happen, that you found out about BRS after you started working? What's been an unexpected surprise of working with us for the last 3 months?
I wouldn't say it was unexpected. It was kind of spoken about a lot, but just the family balancing. Definitely a hard thing to still get used to. No one's at fault. Everyone's always pushing me. Turn off the phone, do what you need to do. But it's a challenge, and it's something that we're going to work through. But like I said, couldn't be happier. Family's great, and everyone's really enjoying it. So thank you all.
That's amazing. You're a great asset to us. We just got another $36. For some reason, it came in Rabbi Broide's merit,
go.
although it's based on a story Rabbi Moskowitz told.
That's
what
happens.
Volozhin Yeshiva has just donated $36.
I tell the story and he gets the donation?
Yeah. I got a donation. I'm just going back over all these donations from Gary Delabate. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
Rabbi Moskowitz, if you want donations from Volozhin, you have to go to Ner Yisrael. That's it.
No, the reason why they're doing that is probably when I give the afternoon kollel each week. When I do the afternoon kollel each week, we do a background of a different yeshiva around the world. So I think this week was Panovich, but we have a good time. The afternoon chevron and I.
We are $124 away from night sleep. Now, I'll tell you, I could put us all to sleep, not just by giving a drasha. I'll tell you, I could put us all to sleep. I still have in my drawer at home, when we took our fly-in to see this Skver Rebbe, he gave me $300 cash as a donation to Boca Raton Synagogue. Skver Rebbe said, I hear wonderful things are happening. I want to support the beautiful Torah. Here's $300. And I didn't know what to do with that money. So we could use 124 of it to go to sleep right now.
Please.
Is there anyone else? $124.
$200 would put me in front of Rabbi Moskowitz, and we could all go to sleep right now.
No way. I will not end the night.
Yes.
$200 would put you in front by $5.
What do I need? Like
no, it won't.
Where are the schnitzel guys?
$206 would give me a $1 lead. $206, and we are going to sleep.
We have amazing
I need some schnitzel guys. I need an Idan Carmel. I need a couple of those.
$6 and Lila Tov.
All right. I want to thank our 664
Good night, everybody.
supporters. We're gonna use the old rounding policy right now and round up to $85,000. But what a night it's been. Thank you to the Shabtais, the Blumenthals, the Moskowitzes. Thank you to Rav Simi Shabtai. Unfortunately, the technology didn't work out. Rabbi Eli Zayins, please God, we're going to have him on in the future. And I'm so glad Jeffrey was able to make it. Rob was able to make it. Really people get a sense of the team. Anyone who stayed with us this entire time, we are 3.5 hours into this. Really, I don't even know what to
We
say.
owe you money at this point.
Yeah.
We should be paying you to stand.
If you're listening on a podcast player, don't forget to rate and review. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. brsonline.org/global. Help us make our goal. And of course, don't forget to go to dailygiving.org.
Follow us on Twitter.
dailygiving.org. Sign up. Yeah, follow us on Twitter, all social media. It's been fun.
We should bring on Maish Francesa now.
Maish Francesa. Is he awake, Maish?
I don't know. I don't know where he lives, so it's hard to know.
What's your? We get a little controversial to close this out. Should we do that or just quit while we're
Yeah,
ahead?
no.
Well,
end with controversy.
Who did we want to
I
have
know-
from Israel? Because now we can have them. You know, it's always
I know.
complicated with the time difference.
Right. Oh, they're up. We could just bring someone on.
Yeah,
right now.
that's what I'm saying. Who could we bring on?
That's a good idea.
Who's in Netanyahu's office now?
Yeah.
That's a good idea. No, we're gonna get that in prime time. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Listen, it's an election. You got to be on behind the Bima if you're gonna get elected.
Exactly.
It's like Meet the Press.
So,
Oh, we're good.
You got
We're
it.
doing the questions. What are they? The debate. we're the moderators for the first
we don't
debate.
want to host. One of my AirPods just went. That is
See, now
insane.
you know what it. Now you know how it felt like.
The other AirPod's 3.5 hours in.
Mine went out. You saw me and my wife awkwardly trying to figure out how to get these into our ears, but we figured it out.
Although, Rabbi Moskowitz, your AirPods are probably recharged all the way by now.
They're all charged up. They're all charged up.
Let's go $206
back
away from calling it a night.
What an absolute great night it's been. Oh, Ralphie Aguilar, my new great friend. Thank you. Out in LA, 3 hours behind, so it's still early for him. I don't know what games he has yet to catch tonight, but hopefully they're good games so that we can
we're
finish
there.
rounding this out.
We made it.
Oh, we got a bedtime mazel tov.
We got it. We're done.
We got a
Mazel
bedtime
tov.
mazel tov. There it is. We're at 85,000.
Wow.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Mazel tov.
Breaking
Still
news.
behind Rabbi
Ladies and
Moskowitz,
gentlemen,
but it's very close.
to those
Stay
in the United
stay
States,
healthy, stay
Shlof
healthy.
Gesund.
Thank you.
To those in
Oh, we
Israel,
did it.
Boca Tov.
85,000.
Have a great
Wow.
day.
Baruch
If
Hashem.
you're listening on a podcast, play, rate, and review. Listening on YouTube, subscribe. Everyone else, stay happy, stay healthy, stay holy. Thank you for sticking with us this whole night. Dailygiving.org, brsonline.org/global. We love you. Have a fantastic night.